It took 12 innings to decide a winner on a chilly, windy night in Game 1 of the Crosstown Cup. In the end, the Southside's Marcus Semien was the Grim Reaper.
There's a shot. Base hit. Here comes Alexei. And the Sox lead it 2-1. Yeah.
Tonight we're back on the north side for Game 2. Black and blue next.
White Sox.
It's Southside and Northside fans together in one place, and that's Wrigley Field. As tonight, Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball for Game 2 of the Crosstown Classic here on Clark and Addison. Hello, everybody. It's Steve Stone along with Mike Huff tonight. My partner, Ken Harrelson's a little under the weather, so Mike and I will try to bring home yet another winner. And it's been the bullpen that's really told the story as far as the Sox are concerned. The bullpen has just been absolutely unhittable. That's a role reversal, as you see Michael Plato. He's getting the ball over the plate. Zach Putnam has been absolutely terrific. Raul Belisario getting everybody out. And all in all, the bullpen has just done a spectacular job throwing strikes, close to unhittable. And look at the numbers the last 9 games. 30 2/3 with just 17 hits, a couple of earned runs, the big number, 12 walks, 25 strikeouts, and an ERA at .59. So opponents hitting 155 against him. You would say that the bullpen is getting the job done. The starters are going to have to pick it up. And Mike, the other side, the Cubs side, has a couple of building blocks that they believe are part of their future.
Well, when you have guys that are under the age of 25 that have the talent that an Anthony Rizzo, a Starlin Castro have, it's pretty easy to say, I want these guys for my future. We all know about Rizzo doing a great job and traded for twice by the likes of the front office with the Cubs. But he's done a good job this year of hitting lefties as well as righties coming into his zone. And Castro, we all know about this talent this kid has at the plate. But you know what? This year he's starting to show with the glove as well. Might be finally coming into his zone, hitting mistakes, waiting for that ball into the strike zone, and doing a great job production-wise. 6 doubles, 4 home runs for the Cubs.
It's Hector Nuese against Edwin Jackson in Game 2 of the series, coming up next.
Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. AT&T Uverse. AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Ford. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com.
Welcome back to a very chilly Wrigley Field. And Edwin Jackson and his Cubs take the field. Let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up the Sox for tonight's game. Alejandro Diaz leading it off, and Gordon Beckham in the 2 spot. Jose Abreu at first and hitting third. Dayan Viciedo cleanup. Then it's Alexi Ramirez, Moises Sierra, Tyler Flowers, Marcus Semien, and Hector Nuese, who takes the hill. The key defensive setup and how they'll line up behind Edwin Jackson. It's Coghlan, Lake, and Shearholtz in the outfield, with Valbuena, Castro, Bonifacio, and Rizzo in the infield. Wellington Castillo gets a nod behind the plate, and our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Edwin Jackson. This is 7th start, his record 2-2, the ERA 5.24. He's got overwhelming stuff at times, but left-handers have killed him, hitting .339 against him. The umpires for the game tonight: Paul Emmel behind the plate, Tom Woodring is at first, Marvin Hudson is at second, and Jerry Meals, the crew chief, is at third. So the wind has subsided a bit. During batting practice, blowing straight in, but there is some warm air coming. And Mike Huff, who was with me because my partner Ken Harrelson's a little under the weather, in this ballpark, when the wind is not blowing in, it plays pretty small.
Very much so. You look at those gaps, 368. Any decent fly ball, left center, right center, is definitely going to jump here.
Alejandro Diaz to lead it off. He's hitting .194 this year with 4 home runs, 13 driven in. Diaz last night started off the game with a base hit, scored the first run, and the only run scored against Jeff Samardzija, who went 9 innings. Giving up no earned runs and lowering his ERA to 1.62. So the outfield playing Diaz as an off-field hitter. A big gap in right center, and Edwin Jackson is ready to go. Edwin will throw a pretty good fastball, timed out 94, 95 miles an hour, and he's got a slurve to go with it. That first pitch in the zone, strike 1. Not his best fastball, but something that he's been doing early in the game, and he's had trouble in the first couple of innings. Taking a little something off, and that was the breaking ball. And quickly, Alejandro in an 0-2 hole.
Well, as a pitcher, how good does that make you feel, knowing that you can start to throw multiple pitches for strikes right off the bat?
For a guy who's struggled in the first inning, pretty good if you're Edwin. And he got him. Castillo gets an angle on the throw, and they strike him out, throw him out for the first hitter of the game.
Well, not an ideal way for the Sox to start, although I'm sure just about everybody in that Sox dugout is excited at the weather today. I know it was chilly last night and got a few degrees on it today.
Gordon Beckham hitting 167 with a run batted in. Outfield now playing him straight away. First pitch out of the zone for Jackson. He signed a $52 million 4-year deal with the Cubs. And that's a whole lot of money for a guy 80 and 91 lifetime. Line drive, base hit. So Gordon, who had hit Jackson well, he was 4 for 10 lifetime against him, continues his success.
Well, and not only against Jackson, but here at Wrigley, he's hitting .329, 4 home runs, 12 RBIs in 24 games. Does a really nice job of keeping his head shoulder to shoulder down in the strike zone. Base hit to left.
That brings up Jose Abreu. Abreu hitting .254, 12 home runs, 35 driven in. And the outfield very deep and pretty much straight away. If anything, Lake in center field is a couple of steps into right center. That ball catches a corner, and it's strike 1.
I'll tell you what, as a fan, it has been so exciting watching this kid. And when you look at a center fielder that's playing on the right field side, that tells you this guy has power to all fields. Incredible amount of respect for a guy that's only been in the major leagues for a month.
Last night a sacrifice fly in the first inning. Accounted for his 35th run batted in. Fouls that one straight back.
When you look at what he has done over the last 16 games, over 300, 8 home runs, 21 RBIs, an OPS of 1.0. I mean, that's like my career right there. 8 home runs, 21 RBIs. That's a 7-year span for Michael Huff. He does it in 1 month.
And understand that every time he faces a pitcher, it's usually the first time he's ever faced that guy. Brew in an 0-2 hole as Gordon a short lead at first. That fouled off to the right. One thing that this lineup has to be aware of, and I'm talking about the Sox lineup, is the fact that Edwin Jackson can't field his position very well, and he also doesn't hold base runners closely. Now, we've seen Castillo have a very good arm. That being said, Jackson is slow to home plate. And if the guys who can bunt will bunt, Jackson will make some mistakes. He also gets a little frustrated at times, and when that happens, things don't go well for him. Throw to first, and he got him.
Not too sure about this. Gordon getting back. Looked like Rizzo caught that ball out in front of him. Starting to creep out a little bit too far. Umpire in a pretty good position there. Robin not coming out to argue that, so unfortunately, 2 down.
Quick move to first, and he got him. Ground ball to short. Easy play by Castro. Side wheels it to first, and despite the base hit, it's a scoreless first. We hit to the bottom of the first with the Cubs coming it back. Of his Cubs tonight, it's going to be Bonifacio, Valbuena, and Rizzo at the top, with Castro, Castillo, and Shearholtz in the middle. It's Lake, Coughlin, and Edwin Jackson rounding it out. The key of defense and how they'll line up behind Hector Nuese. Viciedo, Diaza, and Sierra in the outfield, with Simeon, Ramirez, Beckham, and Abreu in the infield. Tyler Flowers gets a nod behind the plate, and our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Hector Nuese. Started 1 ball game. He's 0-2, the ERA. A little higher than he certainly would like. But he has the opportunity now as the Sox looking for someone to take over in the starting role.
Lots of opportunities right now with Chris Sale being down. Eric Johnson being sent back to AAA. You hope someone steps up and demonstrates, I want to be here. Give me that ball every 5 days.
Emilio Bonifacio leading it off. And he looks at 1 down. This would be the last guy you'd want to walk, number 1, or allow to get on base early, because he's their premier base stealer. He swiped 10, been caught 3 times. Good fastball for a strike.
Like a good leadoff man taking a few pitches. You're absolutely right. The next best on their team, both Shearholtz and Lake with 3 stolen bases. So if this guy gets on, he's the one you have to be aware of.
Bonifacio, switch hitter, much better from the right side where he's hitting 400. Pops it up. Ramirez taking control, and he makes the catch. It's the best way to avoid the stolen base.
Well, anytime you can get the leadoff guy out, great. But for someone as fast as Bonifacio, if you can get him to put the ball in the air, that's even better.
Luis Valbuena steps up. He's hitting .221 with a homer and 5 driven in. Valbuena, a very good fastball hitter. 3 lefties right at the top to face Noesi, with Anthony Rizzo in the on-deck circle. Takes fastball for a strike after showing bunt. Outfield shading a little toward left center field. And the wind almost no factor at all, unlike last night. Strike 2. Good fastball taken right down the middle. As you can see, the flag's wafting toward the right field corner. Last night, it transcended a breeze. It was roaring in from center field. Well out in front of home plate.
Yeah.
There's look the man that threw another gem yesterday, Jeff Samardzija. ERA of 1.62, yet he's 0-3. 13 straight outings. He has not won. Last time he won was last August. Pretty amazing. Last night, the 2 guys that went head-to-head, Quintana was brilliant, Samardzija a little bit better, but both of them got no decision. That's not strange for Quintana. He's the king of that. For Samardzija, he used to be getting a little frustrated. He got him, took a little something off, and quickly 2 up, 2 down.
Well, you said it very aptly. If there's 2 pitchers that have something in common, it's those 2. And again, right here, Hector doing a great job putting this ball just off the outside corner, too close for Valbuena to take. Strike 3. Very nice.
That brings up Anthony Rizzo. He's hitting .292 with 6 home runs, 16 driven in. He leads the Cubs in the power department, and he seems to be getting better. He also made his first error of the year last night. And talking with Rick Renteria, he thinks that there's a gold glove in this young man's future. Fouls that one straight back.
Well, we talked about as we led into the game. There's Rick right there, jotting down some notes. But we talked about at the top of the show, when someone like Rizzo, you've got Jed Hoyer trading for him twice. There's something to be said for him. It looks like he finally might be starting to get comfortable, come into his own.
He's only 24 years old, and so the combination of Theo Epstein, who's the president, and Jed Hoyer, who is the general manager, they liked Rizzo from the beginning when they had him in Boston. He moved down to San Diego and then moved here. Ground ball right at Ramirez in the shift. They got him 3 up and 3 down. Good inning for Noesi. We head to the second. There is no score. tonight. I'm going to take Gordon Beckham. I actually made that pick after he got a base hit, but before the pickoff. Mike / Hawk is going to take Jose Abreu, and there's a story behind that. We'll get to it. And the crew is taking Alejandro De Aza. And that story is that Mike's nephew, Grayson Huff, the front runner that he is, wanted to take Jose Abreu, and take him he did.
Thank you very much.
So good luck, Grayson. Going to bring up Dayan Viciedo. He's hitting .314, a couple of home runs, 12 driven in. Adam Dunn was originally in the starting lineup, but he was scratched due to some calf difficulties. And Adam played a pretty decent left field last night. Won't get an opportunity here tonight, but he is available for a pinch hitting role. Outfield straight away, fairly deep. And the off-speed pitch has Viciedo well out in front of him. That one misses down. It's the 83rd birthday today of Willie Mays. Arguably, if not the greatest, one of the greatest players to ever play this game. And he holds a distinction here at Wrigley Field. He's hit the most home runs of any opponent here at Wrigley Field, 54.
And I know when you were in your broadcast booth there, you saw quite a few from one of the guys that you thought had the most here. Go ahead and tell them who was second on that list.
Mike Schmidt and Hank Aaron. They're tied for second with 50 home runs. But Willie has the all-time record. 3-1 count. Fly ball center field. Junior Lake coasting over, but Shearholtz calls for it, and he's got it.
Join us on Friday, May 23rd for Ladies' Night. Women will receive specially priced tickets starting at $20 for lower level seats. Activities include pregame, Zumba, makeovers, and massages. Get your tickets by visiting whitesox.com/ladies.
Lexi Ramirez stepping in, hitting .328, 4 home runs, 19 driven in, but he's 0 for 17 lifetime against Edwin Jackson. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Some pitches you just can't see. Is that what happens?
Yeah, you know what? There's a release point. There's a comfort level. There's timing. I mean, it's incredible that sometimes even major league hitters can't quite get the timing down with a certain type of pitcher. And it seems like that's the case here with Ramirez.
Good sweeping breaking ball, and unfortunately, Ramirez is an 0-2 hole. And there you look at the career numbers. He's really struggled with Edwin.
Well, and not a bad idea, you know, laying down a bunt. You talked about at the last inning. Edwin not that good off the mound.
He got him. Second strikeout of the night.
Well, you look at the locations of these pitches. The first two right on the corners, and just as you said, with Ramirez maybe not quite picking it up that well. You can see that tight slider might have come out as a fastball. Looked like he was just trying to battle it, but so far out of the zone, pretty easy, strike 3.
Moises Sierra, who was inserted in the lineup late. He steps in. Showed bunt, but pulled it back and took a strike.
Well, you talked about Moises being new to the club. Last year in Toronto, batted .290. Not too bad. Over 100 at-bats, 13 doubles, a triple home run, 13 RBIs. So there's some talent there.
And he's in an 0-2 hole. Well, Sierra, pretty big guy, 6'3", 215. He should have some power. Got off to just a terrible start this year, and so for him, nothing worked. Everything that he took forward from last year just didn't pan out this year. And here he is. Fouls that one off.
I'll tell you, being a part-time player, you have to get a certain mindset, knowing how to stay ready, how not to. And once that season ended, there may have been some thoughts, could I get the chance to be an everyday player? Come to spring training, it doesn't quite happen. And sometimes you just can't quite get on track. And obviously that's the case for him this year in Toronto.
Line drive, foul. That one didn't miss by much. Jackson's throwing a whole lot of strikes tonight. And in years past, that had been one of his problems. As well as he can coast along for a while and then have some problems if the offense puts a little pressure on it. So far, he's throwing nothing but strikes, pretty much filling up the zone. Checks his swing. Count goes to 1-2.
Well, you said it perfectly. I mean, Edwin, in his history, has been known to throw a lot of pitches. I know on one of the games that he did throw a no-hitter, the second one, he threw 149 that day against Tampa Bay in a 1-0 victory.
Fastball misses inside. Evens count at 2-2. There is a pitching coach, Chris Bosio. It's a pretty good one. They like him here. And the starting rotation for the Cubs has been very good this year. In the offense, that's given him some problems. Line drive center field. It's going to get down for a base hit. So the late insertion into the lineup pays some dividends. And Moises Sierra is on.
Well, good job here, like you said. 2 strikes, shorten it up. Edwin didn't quite get it all the way in on his hands. Moises doing a good job of bringing the hands inside, releasing it to center field. Nice line drive to center for a base hit. Now with 2 outs, do you think about letting this young man run a little bit?
I don't think so. But that being said, if he's got some speed, this is the right pitcher to run against. However, we saw earlier as Edwin Jackson picked off Gordon Beckham that he's got a very quick move to first. And a decent lead by Sierra. Another quick throw over, but nothing doing.
Well, it was interesting looking. Sierra got out there quickly and was at that full max lead by the time Edwin took a glance over. You can see him creeping out right there. It was at this point that Gordon took an extra step out when Edwin threw over. Edwin taking the peek. Moises staying right there.
Lifted to the right side. Rizzo going over, but he's going to run out of room. Not much foul territory here.
Well, not much foul territory. You said a very slight breeze. If there is a slight breeze, it looks like it's coming in from left field. So we saw that fly ball to center earlier, went over to Shearholtz and right, and this one a little bit foul. Wind might have just pushed it out of the way.
There you see the foul line. Almost no room at all on either side. This is left field. So if you can take it down the line and keep it in the ballpark more times than not, it's a 2-base, maybe a 3-base hit.
Yeah, and even though those walls have some padding, that is brick concrete. As an outfielder, you are acutely aware when you hit that dirt warning track as you're going into those corners.
Another quick throw to first, but Sierra's back. Tyler, in last night's game, was 0 for 4. Drew a base on balls in the 12th inning. The 12th inning that yielded a couple of runs. The margin of victory. Last night in the 7th inning, Tyler Flowers hit the daylights out of one, but found out what that wind can do to a high fly ball. One ball, it's right at Bonifacio, who makes the play easily. And despite the hit, there's one left. We'll head to the bottom of the 2nd with no score. the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Provide your guests with the ultimate all-inclusive White Sox experience in the Home Plate Club or Magellan Scout seats. These 2 premium seating areas are the best way to entertain your most important clients, employees, friends, or family. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com/premium seating. And those are very nice places to watch the game. Very good food. Not that the food is incredible at US Cellular, but even there, it's almost better.
It brings up Starlin Castro hitting .289 with 4 home runs, 14 driven in. Starlin had a tough year last year. Fouls that one straight back. Every hitting instructor he had, every manager that talked to him in his young career, talked to him about being more selective. And it took the aggressiveness away. Hit just .245 last year. Rick Renteria came in and said, swing at anything you like. And he's starting to drive the ball. And when misses away, the count evens at 1-1.
There was a guy I remember playing against, Vlad Guerrero, that could take balls literally off the dirt out of the ballpark. Incredibly strong, but if you ever told him to be more selective, you just took him out of his comfort zone. Might be the same case here.
He's a pretty good one. The question was always, was shortstop his best position? The Cubs obviously feel that way. They've tied him up on a long-term deal, and they view him, and we talked about it off the top, it's Rizzo and Castro, part of the foundation of this team heading forward. They're both on long-term deals. 2-1 pitch. Into left field, base hit.
It looked like Hector might have taken a little something off this to make sure it was over the zone. Castro a little bit out in front of it. Hooks an outside pitch, actually not that bad, but that is a classic definition of a seeing eye ground ball.
No chance at all for Alexi. And that brings up Wellington Castillo, who's hitting .273 with 4 home runs, 13 driven in. Last night he was 0 for 3 with a couple of walks. Castillo last night hit one of the hardest shots of the entire ball game. Fortunately, Alejandro Diaz was there in left center field. Ball was not traveling too much last night, although Jeff Samardzija got the first hit of the night. Jose Quintana, and was driven home on a Junior Lake sacrifice fly to tie the game at 1. Short lead. He throws a fastball upstairs by him. So the count evens.
Wellington's only hit to a couple double plays this year. It'd be awfully nice for number 3, but yeah, that pitch, a little bit up, a little bit in. As a hitter, sometimes when you get ahead in the count and you start thinking, I want that fastball, when he throws it, it's awfully hard to remind yourself, I still want that fastball to be a strike.
Short lead. And he throws another fastball by him. Castillo a little tardy on a couple of fastballs from the Wessing.
Well, and that looked like an awfully good location. First pitch, outer half. Second pitch right underneath, and that one might have been a little bit of a mistake, and I'm sure one that he wants back right down the middle of the zone.
Long look in by Nuese. And a short lead by Castro. He got him.
And he knew it. Not much of an argument. Good job by Hector here. Tyler setting up right on that inside corner. Good hard fastball. Right at that low part of the strike zone. Inner half. Just unable to pull the trigger there.
Second strikeout of the night for Hector. And it brings up Nate Shearholm. Hitting .194. He's driven in 10. He's yet to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Last year, 21 home runs, and I think the Cubs are a little surprised that the power hasn't been there. fastball misses down. Mariano Rivera wrote a book, and in the book he's causing some controversy because he talks about the great talent of Robinson Cano. But he says something that didn't make Yankee fans particularly happy, even though he made them happy for a long time, and that was if he had one game to win, he would want Dustin Pedroia at second base for him. Now, you know that rivalry is enormous, and you know Mariano was telling him exactly like he felt. Pedroia is a terrific player. What do you think of those two guys?
Well, I think I'm not sure I would disagree with Mariano. I mean, there are guys that are gamers. There are guys when you say over the course of a series or a year, I may want a certain type of player, but when it comes to just one game, yeah, your thinking can change a little bit.
That one gets away, goes to the screen, and on the wild pitch, Castro will head into second base.
Well, this isn't the first one of these that Hector has really snapped off in front of the plate. As a pitcher, what causes this? Because we've seen him with some really nice pinpoint accuracy, but this is the second or third one that he's bounced that far. I mean, what do you think, Steve?
Well, occasionally you have a tendency to fall off the mound if you're a right-hander, fall off to the first base side. If you fall off too much, you take the baseball with you, and instead of hitting the corner, you're going to throw it low and in to a left-hand hitter. Fly ball center field, but Diaz there. The wind is going to knock it down. He comes in, makes the catch, and Castro has to hold at second base, and the wind has just started to pick up. What a difference an inning makes.
Yeah, an inning, maybe even a half an inning. You know, Diaz does a good job. Castro does a good job. This ball was hit hard, goes back, but all of a sudden, once he's set, this wind has picked up dramatically, and he had to hustle in to get that ball.
Well, the game started with the wind very gently blowing toward the right field corner. Now it's blowing in from right field across and just about knocking everything down. As Junior Lake steps in, he's hitting .240. He's hit 3 home runs, driven in 7. Here's lifetime shortstop. And, of course, they've got Castro at short, so they've made Lake an outfielder. There's a good fastball for a strike. Junior Lake is out of the Cubs organization.
It's a pretty big shortstop.
6'3", well over 200 pounds. Saw him in the Arizona Fall League when he was really tearing it up, hitting everything in sight. Now he's getting his opportunity up here. Outfield straight away. And a nice job of Tyler Flowers in knocking that one down.
Tyler has done a good job focusing. You can see that tight slider. All you've got to do as a catcher is just what he did. Make sure you're knocking that ball down, keep it in front of you, preventing the runner from moving up a base.
Another nice stop. Last night, Junior Lake sacrifice fly coming in the 6th inning. Knocked in Jeff Samardzija. Batting practice today, Samardzija and Jason Hamill into a wind that was very similar to the way it's blowing now. Both took them almost entirely out of the ballpark. Samardzija hit a ringing double for the first and only hit that Quintana gave up. And he didn't even hit the wall. Good fastball for a strike. And the count evens at 2-2. There is a sea of pink in the bleachers here at Wrigley Field. And with some vision problems, it helps if your catcher paints his fingernails orange or pink. Either one's going to show up a whole lot better than just looking in. The catchers don't want to put any tape on their fingers, and there you see the sea of pink for breast cancer awareness.
You can also see those flags really starting to pick up, coming in awfully hard from center field.
Fouled that slider off. And the count holds at 2-2.
Well, and Hector tried a little slide step there. Again, we talked about as a hitter, it is so important to get into a good rhythm, timing yourself with the pitcher, making sure that when that front foot lands, you're in a good place to hit. Hector that time, quick little slide step, and sometimes as a hitter, then good location too. You're just thinking when you battle, hope he makes a mistake on the next one.
Fouled off that high breaking ball. And Lake thought he probably should have hit that one a little bit better than he did. But he's able to stay alive. It's Chris Coughlin in the on-deck circle. Chris was the Rookie of the Year for then the Florida Marlins back in 2009. He's had a lot of knee problems since then. Ground ball, one hop right at Semien. Long throw, it's in the dirt and scooped by Abreu. So it's out of the inning and we head to the third. There is no score. And Marcus has proven to be quite a clutch hitter this year. .290 with runners on, .303 with runners in scoring position, with 14 driven in, a .438 average with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. That's not too bad. And with more on Marcus Semien, Jen Latta is down there to talk to us.
Well, hey there, guys. We noted the coincidence of Marcus Semien, who wears number 5, hitting his go-ahead 5th RBI of the season on Cinco de Mayo, but that's not the story he wanted to tell. He tells me that today is the 1-year anniversary of the passing of his grandmother, and when he had that heroic outing last night here at Wrigley, his mom called him up and said that his grandmother would be so proud. It was a fitting tribute to her. Here's the thing, Marcus would like to have something happen this evening that would be even more honorable. He says he knows that his grandmother is watching every single game and is proud of him. Guys, back up to you.
Thank you, Jen. And there you see the numbers. 16 runs driven in overall. Pops this one straight up. Bonifacio calling for it. And he makes the catch. I think it's amazing to see a rookie, and a lot of people don't realize how good a job he's done. But, you know, there's this big argument in town about who's got the best first baseman, our guy or your guy, and it's Rizzo and Abreu, obviously. But the one statistic jumps out at you. Marcus Semien has as many runs batted in as Anthony Rizzo.
Well, I tell you what, for any manager to have a guy that you know those 7th, 8th, 9th innings, 2 outs, guys on base, they're going to more than likely come through for you.
And that's 3 in a row, and Hector will have a seat. You can understand being an American League player his whole career, where he might not have had too many opportunities to swing the bat.
Well, and after that first swing, it looks like someone might have said, don't hurt yourself. Just stand there, and if he strikes you out, let him strike you out.
And that's 3 of them for Edwin Jackson. So we move to the top with Alejandro Diaz, who was a strikeout victim leading off the ball game. Little looper to right field. Scherholtz is coming on, and he makes the catch. So a nice running catch, and it's a 1-2-3 third. We head to the bottom of the third. No score.
Rick Hahn met with the media yesterday, and when I asked him about the rotation, he said it's not exactly how we drew it up, which is, of course, accurate, as they are missing a number of the guys they expected to be starting for them. But Hector Noesi has stepped in. Hahn said that they've probably put the most pressure on him as he's transitioning from that bullpen role to now a starter, but he has done it before. Hahn added that all 3 of these guys, Noesi, Carroll, and of course Andre Rienzo as well, should be commended for bailing this team out right now as this rotation needs help. We'll see if he can drop his ERA as this game continues. Guys, back up to you in the booth.
Thank you, Jen. Chris Coughlin going to lead it off. That's what he did in AAA this year, hitting .243. And he pops that one up. Alejandro calling for it, and he takes it. And Ramirez gave him a little help. And Mike, I assume with the visibility the way it is, not quite night, not quite day, you need some help from your infielders.
Well, you really do. I mean, we are at that twilight moment right now, and this is a new ballpark, not one you typically play in. The lights obviously totally different. Alexei doing a good job, and then Alejandro doing a good job putting the glove out, saying, now I got it, I'll take it, and as a good center fielder, calls off the left fielder.
That brings up Edwin Jackson, who's hitting .077. He looks at a fastball for a strike. And that's the almost nighttime at Wrigley Field. But still, the visibility very much favoring pitchers at this point. Another fastball for a strike. So quickly, Hector is ahead 0-2. One sweeps wide. The Sox lifetime 173 and 134 in interleague play. That's 4th best in the major leagues. Last year the Cubs won the series 4-0. Fly ball left field right in his tracks, and Viciedo makes the play.
You gotta love that advanced scouting. positioning players certain places against certain hitters. Diane not even taking a step on that one.
That brings up Emilio Bonifacio, who popped up to lead off the first inning. Bonifacio came over from Kansas City. It was kind of a surprising deal because Kansas City fancies themselves of being right in the middle of the race this year, and Bonifacio can do a whole lot of things. He can play just about anywhere, and as a switch hitter, he gives you great speed in the lineup. So he looks at a fastball for a strike. Kansas City not off to the greatest start. They're 14-17 this year, 6 games in back of Detroit coming in. Tigers, by the way, lead Houston 4-0. That game in the middle of the 5th inning in Detroit. So the Tigers red hot. Detroit has won 6 games in a row. They're 10-5 at home. They're 11-4 against the Central. And if you're looking for a recipe to win a division, it's beat your division and win at home. Count goes to 2-1 on Bonifacio, and again a guy that in a 0-0 game, you just as soon let him hit it.
Well, and doing a good job when your pitcher makes an out, especially the second out of an inning. The leadoff guy, you're unenviable that you should take a couple pitches just so that he can sit down, get off his feet, rest his arm a little bit. He's done a good job making this be the 4th pitch in the at-bat. Thank you very much for swinging that one out of the zone.
Threw a changeup, and the count evens at 2-2. This is a great park to pitch when the wind is blowing like it's blowing tonight. However, June, July, and August, where you get those southwest winds, this can be a nightmare for pitchers and a great place to hit. Well, the count goes full. Home run alleys here, the 368s into the power alleys, both the right center and left center. You can hit some line drives even with the wind blowing in. You can hit some line drives under the wind, actually, that go out of the park relatively easily in those 2 directions. Little chopper. Abreu will take it himself, and so an easy 1-2-3 inning. We'll head to the 4th. There is no score. To have it shown on our broadcast later in the game. It's brought to you by AT&T. Gordon Beckham's going to lead it off. He had a base hit, was promptly picked off first base in the first inning. Both pitchers have come out throwing strikes. 3 hits combined by the 2 clubs, all singles. And Gordon faking a bunt. Pulling in Valbuena. but the pitch was low and away. Tough pitch to bunt if you're not pushing it to the right side. Jackson swinging, the count evens at 1.
And a very nice job of checking this one. You're exactly right. You see what he's done against Jackson, 455. So you would think, let me swing, but third baseman playing back, laying down a bunt's not a bad idea.
Running well in front of home plate.
And when you are thinking about laying down a bunt, just like you said, especially when you're early in the count, you're looking for one pitch, one location. And again, like a good hitter that can be disciplined, not swinging at a certain pitch even though he might be 2-0 in a count. Same with the bunt. It's not the one you want in the location you want. Low probability of laying it down where you want, which means a base hit.
Outfield straight away. And that one misses down. So the count goes to 3-1. Last year, opponents hit 281 of Edwin Jackson, which is a very high total. And he did lose 7 of his last 8 decisions last year. Line drive, base hit. So Gordon Beckham is 2 for 2 and a promising way to start the 4th inning.
I showed that graphic earlier about how much he likes hitting Edwin Jackson. Plus, when you get into a 3-1 count, even though this is a great location by Edwin, as a hitter, you're thinking fastball. As a good hitter like Gordon right now, number 2, number 8, 9 in the order, you want to think up the middle. That time he did. Even though it was a good location, was able to take it up the middle solidly for a base hit.
And that brings up Jose Abreu, who grounded to short to end the 1st inning. It's the 100th year anniversary of Wrigley Field. They'll be celebrating that all year long. That one misses low and away.
Well, there are so few stadiums left that are storied that you can walk into and feel, just walking in, feeling history. You've got Fenway and you've got Wrigley. And that's kind of it right now.
And the next oldest, do you have any idea?
Dodger Stadium?
Next oldest is Dodger Stadium, yes. Chavez Ravine.
Beautiful Chavez Ravine.
Outfield pretty deep all the way around. And sweeping breaking ball. American League leaders, Jose Abreu leading the pack with 35. Nelson Cruz of Baltimore with 29. Then it's Colabello, Pujols, and Moss, 27, 25, and 24 respectively.
Now Pujols bouncing back. I mean, what do you attribute the struggles he had last year? When you have a storied career like that, you wouldn't think American League, National League would make that big a difference.
I just think he's entirely healthy this year, and you can see it in spring training. That time Gordon back as Jackson keeping a close eye. He realizes that he's not the fastest to home plate, especially when he's not using the slide step. And Castillo looking over into the dugout to see if they might want to go to the slide step.
Darrell Boston, first base coach, very good base runner in his day.
Beckham 1 for 1 in stolen bases, with a short lead at first. And that one gets away. That ball was about a 52-footer.
And Gordon Beckham doing a good job. We talked about secondary leads. Even if you're not stealing, this ball very short. Gordon Beckham had a good 2 or 3 shuffle, as you'll see here, and as soon as it hit the ground, that in front of the home plate, he knew catcher had to go down to his knees. It's going to be an incredible play if he can bounce up off his knees, blocking a ball and throwing to second to get Gordon out. Good job of hustling. Got a man on second finally with nobody out.
Mike Porzello is their catching coach, and he's worked with Wellington Castillo quite a bit because last year his problem was blocking low pitches. Well, he did everything right that time. He got down, had the ball hit his chest protector, but it bounded off his mask and bounded away. So last year he had all kinds of problems digging out low pitches. This year, not so much. That just happened to be a bad break for him and good break for the Sox as Gordon moves into scoring position. Bonifacio keeping a close eye on second base. And that one in the dirt, and Castillo stops it again.
Great example again, just like you talked about. That ball hitting the dirt behind the plate. Wellington doing a good job sliding over, making sure that the glove was down, shoulders forward. So if that ball bounces and hits him, it's only going to land right back in front of him. He'll have the base runner to see if he's hustling, get up off his knees, throw to third.
This is the 8th team that Edwin Jackson has played for. And he's going to be here a while with that contract. Long look in, short lead at second by Gordon. And the outfield pretty much straight away. And that one chopped foul. That was a full count.
Well, Edwin Jackson again showing some respect to the rookie here. 3-1 slider on the black. I'm sure Abreu wasn't looking for that. Out in front of it, hooked it. Which is not what you want to do. What we've seen Jose do so well this year is hit the ball to the other gap, right center, right field. And in this situation, Frank Thomas was so famous for it. Let's get that ball into that gap, and if you really get a hold of it, he's going to score. And if not, man's at third with one out.
The outfield straight away. They're both off the line on the corners. Line drive right field, well hit. Gordon tagging up. Shearholtz with a pretty decent arm. He's not going to get it there in time. So that's exactly what you called a smart hitter with a full count moving up the base run.
Well, and hitting it solid again. I mean, Jose has done such a good job of this year, squaring up some balls. Wynn really knocked that down. Shearholtz does a good job of getting behind it. Not a bad throw, but Gordon doing a good job tagging up, making sure of it. Had good momentum as he came off that base and goes hard into third to make sure he's safe.
Infield in at all four positions. You were a pretty good base runner. What does Gordon have to do at third to take advantage of what might be a pitch in the dirt, because Jackson's thrown a bunch of them?
Well, you've got to be in foul territory, but close to the line, so that just in case there is a ball hit down the line and it hits you, it's a ball. You're not out. But most importantly, you've got to be landing on that front foot, momentum going forward, chest over that knee and front leg, and you're watching the path of the pitch. You're watching to see, like he did at first base so well. If it looks like it's going to bounce, you've got to be ready and aggressive, ready to go.
Viciedo hit a fly ball to right field in the second inning. Hitting 300 with runners in scoring position. And that one bounces well in front of the plate again, and a nice stop by Castillo.
Well, clearly he's working hard on blocking those balls because he's getting a lot of work today.
Looks like Edwin is trying real hard to throw one away here. That one was under the mask of Castillo.
There'll be a little ice on that jaw after the game, I'm guessing.
Castro very short at shortstop, in on the grass. That's somewhat surprising. That one catches the outside corner, so the count goes to 2-1.
Well, and as a hitter, again, you can't worry about the umpire. If this is a strike, if this is not a strike, who cares? You want to be up there swinging. If he goes 3-0, he's probably walking you. Now, forget about it. 2-1. You still have 2 strikes he has to throw across the plate. You want this RBI. You want to get the lead. Still be aggressive. Still thinking up the middle. Something you can hit hard. Something you can drive.
That hit him. They're trying to get the ball inside. He got it way in. And Viciedo.
Well, and as a hitter, he's thrown a slider away. You're thinking, again, away, away. That ball just rode way up and in. Luckily, a glancing blow. Nothing solid. Should be fine with that, but
it's the first time that Viciedo's been hit this year. It hit the back forearm and then got a piece of Castillo. That puts runners at the corners, and Alexei Ramirez, who's never had much luck with Edwin Jackson. He's 0 for 18, including that strikeout in the second inning. And Alexei just expanded his zone. looking for something he can hit in the air. Ramirez does have one sacrifice fly this year, and the infield forced to move back now about halfway, looking for two. Little chopper foul. Last night, Alexei with his 1,000th hit. And there's the shortstops. Luke Appling, Ozzie Guillen, Louis Aparicio, Buck Weaver. So Alexei joins a very select crew of White Sox shortstops. Luke Appling, 2,749 base hits.
You think about the retired numbers, the monuments in the outfield at U.S. Cellular, Luke being among them. And I think everyone can remember Ozzie's storied career. Was a teammate of mine. So much fun playing with him for 3 years, 91, 2, and 3. But oh my gosh, so that's another career between Ozzie and Luke.
Eddie has got a 1-1.
Now, so tough to do as a hitter when you're struggling against a pitcher to try to do something maybe a little bit different. We talked about how you don't want to get out of what your comfort zone is, but sometimes, you know, in a situation like this, I used to think about just trying to go to right field, almost jamming myself, trying to get that ball between the first and second baseman. Worst case, there's going to be a force out somewhere. There's not going to be a double play, but you've got to get that run in any way you can.
Blake probably has the best arm. He's in center field. He was a former shortstop. Little chopper to short, slowly hit, slowly developing, and no chance at first base, so the run scores. It's RBI number 20 for Ramirez, and the Sox take the lead.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be pretty, but we got the lead. And again, when you have a pitcher that you struggle against, you'll get that RBI any way you can. Great location by Edwin Jackson. And Ramirez rolling over it enough so it's 3 hops to short, not 2. And again, you just got to eat it. Bonifacio making sure he doesn't throw it away and potentially have an error and put Ramirez in scoring position.
The leadoff base hit by Beckham pays some dividend. And Alexei with a short lead at first. Moises Sierra, who had a soft base hit in the second inning. Adam Dunn, originally in the starting lineup, scratched just before the game with some calf difficulties. Line drive, base hit to center. So Sierra 2 for 2.
Not a whole lot soft about that one. You're right. That first hit got a little bit jammed. Soft line drive to center this time. Looking for that fastball. Got it. Good swing line drive right up the middle. As you'll see, not many major leaguers are going to miss that pitch. And again, good outfielder, new team. Don't try to do too much, especially the way the wind's blowing in. And you've seen already how the ball's not carrying the outfield. Stay on top of that good hard base hit or good hard line drive, and let's keep this thing moving.
Edwin Jackson, first time through the lineup, gave up a couple of hits and no problems whatsoever this inning. 2 hits and a run scored. Runners at first and second, 2 outs, and brings up Tyler Flowers. Flowers just having a terrific year. Hit 1 home run, driven in 9. Grounded out to second base to end the second inning. Tyler has a new approach. Hands a little lower, a little more bend in the knee. And making a whole lot more contact, especially when he's down in the count. And it almost gets away. What we're seeing has been the MO for Jackson. Jackson's always had a good enough arm to be wonderfully successful in the major leagues. But the reason why he went 8-18 last year is what you're seeing here. When he starts to lose his concentration, then he starts either throwing the ball down the middle or throwing it way off the plate. A lot of pressure on Castillo because Jackson's throwing a lot of pitches in the dirt.
Well, and Castillo's done a great job tonight keeping almost all of them in front of him. The few that have gotten by have really been not his fault at all.
You saw by that last graphic that Edwin Jackson has not liked pitching against the White Sox during the course of his career. A career that started with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Also as a shortstop. Oh, outfielder. I'm sorry. Started as an outfielder.
And he was a phenom when he came up. They loved his arm. He came up in 2003 at 2-1, 2.45 ERA. Eventually wending his way to Tampa Bay. And then he started making the rounds. Pickoff at first base, and they got him. So Wellington Castillo with a snap throw to first. And Sierra is tagged out. But not before the Sox get a run on 2 hits. They leave one. We head to the bottom of the 4th. It's 1-0 Sox. Is called usually by the catcher.
Truly, as the catcher, first baseman Rizzo way off. Boston's only job as a first base coach is to be yelling, get back, and as a base runner, once you hear that, see that catcher coming up, you got to go down face first, feet first. You can't go back in standing up, and his shin hit the glove of Rizzo. Easy to call him out.
And you saw that it was called because you saw Rizzo. The fastball was high out of the zone. You saw Rizzo breaking to the bag immediately, so they expected no contact. Made a very good play. And unfortunately, Moises was hung out to dry. Which, by the way, is not the first time that someone in this ballpark has said that. Luis Valbuena steps in. He struck out swinging the first time up. Hector's given up just 1 hit. The fastball misses wide.
Well, the other nice thing is that's only the 42nd pitch he's thrown tonight. So you talked about earlier, his first 3 innings, both pitchers throwing a lot of strikes.
That evens a count of 1-1. Well, Hector was not stretched out as a starter this year. In his start against the Tigers, he went 3 2/3, gave up 5 hits and 4 earned runs. Sailed through the first 3, then had some difficulties, as you would expect a guy who was coming out of the bullpen would have when he started. And a good straight change, and he's ahead 1-2. That's what happened his first start with the Sox. Pretty much coasted through 3, then ran into a buzzsaw, as a lot of teams have recently against the Tigers. Fly ball center field, and Diaza right in his tracks.
Sox fans, on Thursday at 7:10 p.m., your Chicago White Sox take on the Chicago Cubs, presented by United Airlines. United, proud to fly the Chicago White Sox. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Victor Martinez last night did something that he hasn't done in a while, and that is struck out looking. That was the first time he was caught looking at a 3rd strike since May 21st of last year, when Matt Albers got him. Albers then pitching with the Indians. But Victor is taking it to another level this year. He spanned just 4 times in 96 at-bats over 110 plate appearances.
mean, when I hear those numbers, I harken back to people like DiMaggio that, would strike out 20 times, 15 times in a year. I mean, you don't see that these days. That's incredible.
He went 579 plate appearances between called looking strikeouts. Rizzo fouls that ball off to the left. And it's a 1-2 count. Anthony grounded to shortstop, but the shortstop was actually the second baseman in the shift.
Well, we talked about the wonder of advanced scouting in the major leagues. And we had his number last at bat.
And he takes it to left field for a base hit. Big turn at first, puts on the brakes. Luciano gets it back in. But you have to like that aggressive turn at first base.
You do. Well, part of that reason, too, is that the left fielder, the way the outfield is sitting up, as a good hitter, you're going to take advantage of what they're going to give you. This is the second time in 2 days Rizzo has been beaten by a pitcher, but a good enough swing that got jammed but hit it the other way with only one player over there. There's a lot of room for some ground balls to get through. And again, like you said, if Viciedo had done anything wrong, Rizzo was aggressively looking at going to second.
That'll bring up Starlin Castro, who singled to lead off the second inning and got to second base on a wild pitch, but was stranded there. Short lead by Rizzo for the first. Rizzo has tried to swipe 2 bases. He's been successful 50% of the time, 1 out of 2.
Which, as a hitter, that's pretty good. As a base runner, not so much.
Eric Hensky, the coach at first. He was looking over at Gary Jones, the coach at third, going through his set of signs. Popped up right side. Sierra calling for it, and he makes the catch. They're quickly 2 outs. And stay with us, folks, because coming back in the 5th inning, we've got a treat for you. Jim Thome is in the booth. We'll talk with him about what he's doing now that he's employed by the ball club, and the different perspective he might have from a player's eyes to now an evaluator. Brings up Wellington Castillo, who struck out looking. He just got outguessed. He looked at a fastball in the 2nd inning and couldn't pull the trigger. See, pretty good start for Castillo. Hit .273 last year, serving notice that he was a major league hitter, but one that had to really work on his defense, and it seems like there's vast improvement. That one gets away, and Rizzo is going to head into second base. And it is a wild pitch.
Well, we've seen it a lot tonight, unfortunately, from both pitchers. A couple of balls being spiked in the dirt. Both catchers doing a pretty good job. Tyler, again, you see dropping down, trying to keep that ball straight in front of him. Unfortunately, with that slider spin, it kind of hit and bounced sideways. Rizzo might have been thinking about running there. But when he sees it getting away, easy to second base.
1-0 pitch misses inside. The problem for Tyler on the last pitch, and a catcher can't really compensate for this, that ball hit the plate. So you have a good idea of where it's going to hit if it hits the dirt, either in front of the plate or behind the plate. When it hits the plate, that rubberized surface, it can skid, and a lot of times you get eaten up, and that's what happened to Tyler that time. So a 2-0 count on Castillo. Nate Shearholtz in the on-deck circle. And that one misses down. We'll watch it again on very slow motion. Gets off the back of the plate and then skids, and not much you can do if you're a catcher. Outfield straight away. Rizzo is short lead at second, and a good fastball over the outside corner. So even if you're given a 3-0 green light, does that mean it's a 3-0 must, or you're looking zone?
No, you are looking both zone and pitch. Fastball inner half, curveball outer half, something that you are looking one pitch, one location.
That one chopped foul. Yeah, a lot of people believe if you're given a 3-0 green light, especially young hitters, if you're guessing fastball and you get a fastball, you automatically swing at it. But you got to be a zone hitter, and you have to know what zone is your strength. If your strength is out away and you get a fastball out there, well, that's your strength. But if it's not, You still got 2 other pitches at least to see.
Well, and that's why I think a lot of people on TV, when they see someone taking a 3-1, 3-0, 2-0 pitch that's what appears to be something hittable, and the guy doesn't hit it, that's probably the reason why.
He threw it right by him. So out of the inning with a 1-0 lead. Of Anaheim, the 500th of his career, 426 feet. It was Jim Thome bobblehead day. Of course, he finished with 612 of it. And there you see number 500, and then being carried off the field. And this is the Jim Thome who ended 2 careers there, because I believe Bobby Jenks was never the same after carrying you. And of course, Jermaine Dye didn't play much after that. So I can understand where that would be a difficult situation. But how you feeling?
Everything's great. It's good to be here, and what an exciting time for Chicago with both teams playing.
It is that, and the Crosstown Cup is something that I think players look forward to, but certainly fans look forward to.
You know what they do? They do. It was always, for me, it was always fun to come and play these, because just the electricity and the atmosphere in the ballpark, you kind of fed off of it as a player.
Well, this is a ballpark that I would assume everybody would love to hit it.
You know, it's good. I will say this: never playing here early in April, I would think, though, you look at some of the balls last night guys hit. You know, it can be tough too, no doubt.
And you're looking now. I mean, all those years you look through the eyes of a player, and you're always looking at other players, what they did, what they couldn't do. Now you're evaluating for the White Sox. How different is it that you're not a player?
You know, it is. I think the biggest thing for me is to remember how hard the game is. It's not easy to go out every day and have success. And you see, well, like Abreu, you see the success he's had, and, you know, he's the talk of the town, and you understand as a player the process of failing, succeeding, and evaluating a player. I think you have to be patient. You have to understand their abilities, and there's a lot of factors involved. Weather, the guy that's throwing that night. You know, some of us don't hit very well against certain guys, and you know, when you get on those hot streaks, you know, you want to ride those out as much as you can and enjoy every minute of it.
Yeah, those just don't come along enough.
They don't,
and never last long enough.
Yeah, and you know, I said Abreu, I mean, what a wonderful month, what a wonderful start for a guy that's come over, and, you know, none of us really know what he's going through being here the first time, and it's pretty cool to see.
Well, you came up to the Indians as a third baseman. You came up as a young power hitter, and facing pitchers for the first time. How difficult was it when you didn't know what they were going to do to you?
You don't, because you're going off of your strength. My strength was always to hit the fastball, and that's what I tried to do the majority of my career. And as my career kept going on, I would pick pitches, pick counts, and also get into a situation where I felt like, I could succeed in that situation.
And look at those numbers. They're just outstanding. A lot of them are overwhelming. And stay with us for another half inning, because after Noesi strikes out here, we're going to want to get a little more out of you.
Sure.
He made some contact, and Edwin with a bare hand pick almost threw it away, but nothing doing. 1-0 heading in the bottom of the fifth. Certainly we'll look forward to that. And Jim, I wanted to ask you about a nice situation that happened out in Anaheim with Derek Jeter. You played against Derek for a long time. He doesn't want to call it his farewell tour. He wants to call it his final season. But they gave him a standing ovation and kept on chanting his name in essentially an enemy ballpark. And your recollections of Derek Jeter, because you were a great goodwill ambassador for this game, and I believe Derek Jeter is pretty much the same.
Oh, no question. I mean, I think every young kid, every old player, every person that's ever been a part of this game, I think respects him more than he will ever know. You know, what he's done, obviously his talent speaks for itself, but you know, when you get a chance to meet him, you can see why he's had the success he's had and the reputation. There's no question. And it's great for baseball to see guys like Derek get that, get the accolades, number one, but also get the recognition on the road. I remember hitting my 600th homer in Detroit, and you know, getting a standing O, it feels very special as a player to have the opposing fans get up on their feet and cheer you.
You had so many thrills, Jim, and so many great moments in your career, a career that seemingly lasted forever. Anything really stand out as a defining moment to make you the player you became?
You know, there was so much failure. There was so much going to the cage, so much watching video, and reverting back as a power hitter that swung and missed a lot. I heard you say about Victor. Took a called third strike. How many of them do you think I took?
Well, so I know it didn't take a year between called thirds for you. So,
but you know, just in general, I mean,
that's number 600, by the way.
What a great night. What a special evening. It's this game has so many great parts to it, and just getting an opportunity to play it as long as I did was just so great.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. I know you're employed by the ball club. It's something you wanted to do and something certainly that Mr. Reinsdorf was very happy to embrace you back in the fold. So what are you doing?
Jerry brought me aboard. Obviously, I'm here soon. I'm going to go out to the minor leagues, getting a chance to go to spring training and seeing some of our young guys in spring training and getting that rapport with them. Here soon, I'm going to go out and start bouncing around the minor leagues and start seeing our guys and seeing where they're at. And we've got the amateur draft coming up, so I'll be a part of that, which is exciting. You know, obviously young guys, amateur players that are, you know, getting into pro baseball now, and to watch that process from our organization, you know, and see how that goes for the first time. I'm really personally excited to be a part of it. So,
well, the Sox have the 3rd pick in the draft. The Cubs have the 4th pick in the draft. So both teams are going to get really good baseball players.
Yeah.
It's not the best of drafts, not the deepest of drafts, but certainly when you pick that high, you're going to get a good one, and it'll have to be really exciting for you to listen to some of what goes on in the war room, as they call it, and see what happens on draft day.
It will, and I think with the 3rd pick, you want to do your homework, which I know we will, and they always say you don't want to make a mistake. You want to try to get the best available player when your pick comes up. And, you know, the way our scouts, from what Kenny Williams does to what Rick's doing, I mean, we obviously will put our homework in and put our club in a situation to get the best guy out there.
Junior Lake grounded out the first time up, and he drops it in the center field for just the 3rd Cub hit of the night. Taking the aggressive turn, which you love to see, and apparently with Rick Renteria, the new skipper of the Cubs, one of the things that he's talked to his team about is you can't control the talent you have or the talent you're playing against, but you can control one thing, and that's hustle each and every play. I know speed wasn't any part of your game. However, I never remember you not hustling.
Well, and we all have different abilities. You know, it doesn't, you know, some guys are going to run down the line harder than others, but ultimately you want to exert, you know, the energy that you have, the ability that you have, and I think you want to also have a focus.
Throw to second base, and he's safe. For Junior Lake now 4 for 4 in stolen bases. That's a tying run. And Tyler thought he had a shot at it.
Yeah, you know, this is one I think Tyler actually called a fastball, knowing that there was a high probability of a steal, and just let this one get away from him. Sometimes as a catcher, when you get one more in the strike zone, you're able to come out more directly towards second. That was a little bit high. Tyler got a little bit outside of himself, and that ball just carried toward right field. Never really had a chance to get Junior there.
And now Tyler going out to have a word with Nuesi. The bullpen is going because you got a reliever basically stretching out. He's done a pretty nice job. He's in the 5th inning. Zach Putnam loosening in the pen. He's had a very good run at. The entire bullpen has absolutely, over the last 9 games, been pretty much of a lockdown bullpen, and just about everybody's getting the ball over the plate. That one blocked by Tyler Flowers.
Well, and this is so critical because with the pitcher on deck, does not look like anybody's up in the bullpen for the Cubs. Sure looks like Edwin's going to be hitting. So if you can get Coughlin out here with that second out, you can really just attack the pitcher and let Junior do whatever he wants at second, jump around, even steal third, because high probability you're going to get that pitcher out. But Hector really has to focus on this guy right here, right now.
Coughlin hit a soft fly ball to center field, leading off the 3rd inning. There's a look at Edwin. Undoubtedly going to hit for himself. Outfield shaded around toward right center. And Jimmy, come over to Wrigley Field. The scene will shift tomorrow to U.S. Cellular Field. You're going to be at either or both of those games?
I will, yes. It's always fun. You know, when our club goes on the road, I stay at home, and my son is now in Little League, which is an absolute blast. And my daughter's doing some theater stuff, so I get to be a dad. And when our club comes home, I get to be around the game and sit with Jerry and Rick and Kenny, and we talk baseball. And it's cool from the other side to see the things that happen, and to be able to give input as a player that played a long time, I think is very valuable. It's valuable for me to listen, and it's also valuable to hear them and hear them hear what I have to say as well. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, good leaders and real good front office executives have to have exceptional skills as listeners. John Scherholtz, the great GM from Atlanta and Kansas City before that, and out of the Baltimore organization, by the way, originally, his greatest attribute was listening to people and getting input from good baseball people, and he took it to heart and considered it in his evaluation. So he walks Coghlan.
I think I think Rick's biggest attribute is how well he listens, and he truly is engaged with what you're saying. If you're talking about a player or the past of playing, he's a very good listener, and he takes everything in. And I think with how he's done and constructed our club this year, you've seen it pay off in a sense of the direction we're heading.
And a meeting at the mound for a couple of different reasons. Number one, to allow Putnam on a pretty cool evening to get loose. The wind now that was blowing so insistently early in the game now pretty much has died down, and the flags are limp atop the pole. There's a look at Putnam. Runners at first and second, only one out here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Sox hold a 1-0 lead, a precarious lead at this moment, and you would think that Edwin would be laying one down.
Well, I have to admit, working for the Bull Sox Academy, Jim was great to come out last year. Came out for one day, and I got to see him up close and personal with about 50, 60 kids, and the interaction he had, the knowledge, just like you're talking about, what Rick Hahn wants to hear is a point of view from somebody. I know the White Sox are excited about having you work with the minor leaguers, because we got a chance out in Lyle to see it for one day, and it's pretty special, especially when all of a sudden you stop, and here's this gentle giant that's hit over 600 home runs, literally getting down on a knee with an 8-year-old kid and helping them with their stance and how they should hold a baseball bat.
I do that every day in my backyard with my son now, so it's easy.
Well, I'm sure the minor leaguers are loving it every time you come around to be able to pick your brain and say, what was it like in this situation? What were you thinking in an 8th inning, 9th inning versus a 1st or 2nd inning? How were you looking at a pitcher? And just to gain that knowledge out of you has got to be invaluable.
By the way, you have to be very careful with the play they just used, because if in the opinion of the umpire you're throwing to an unoccupied base, that is a balk. Spins out of the way of a high type fastball, and Jackson, who tried to bunt, pulled it back. There's Rick Renteria going through a set of signs. I would assume, you being a power hitter from the time you were probably 5 years old on up, they didn't ask you to bunt too much.
No, not too much. I remember a few times, but actually, you know, they really didn't want to see me square a lot. Neither did I. That was not something that I was very good at. I will say that.
Were you ever tempted, knowing that they would put shifts on you from time to time? Were you ever tempted 5th inning, if you're down a couple, just to say, hey, one run isn't really going to help us. We need a big inning, so let me just get on the base and put a pitcher in a stretch.
Well, there were times, but what happened is it got to a point where I actually tried to do it and failed, and it just, at that point, it wasn't something that I did going forward.
Now, don't short yourself, because in 1994 with Cleveland, you did have the one and only sacrifice of your career.
Yes.
And it probably was a wonderful bunt, I would assume.
I assume, yes.
See, a guy like me, I remember every sacrifice bunt.
I remember the majority of all of my homers, though.
There you go. Well, I do, too, because there was only like 9 of them. So...
Squares to bunt and pulls it back and takes a strike. So now Jackson in a 1-2 hole.
Well, let me ask this. First one, who was it off?
Steve Farr in Yankee Stadium. Joel Skinner, our AAA manager, is he come up to me. He said, hey, kid, Steve's going to throw you a fastball at some point, and don't miss it. And he actually handed me his T141 bat and said, use this, and I did. And that's our running joke today, is that I gave you my bat and I told you what he was going to throw you.
He fouls it off into a strikeout. So a big strikeout. The fans here at Wrigley Field booing the choice of bunting with 2 strikes, especially for a guy who does not have a sacrifice this year.
Well, I'm sure Rick was thinking, what could possibly happen here? He's only got 1 hit on the year. Probably not going to happen. Ground ball, double play, jam shot. Too many bad things can happen versus either a strikeout or a sacrifice bunt. And Hector got another strikeout.
And that'll bring up one of their better clutch hitters, Emilio Bonifacio, who came in hitting .310, but he's 0 for 2.
Well, you pointed it out earlier that on the right-hand side, he's hitting .400. So if he's got to hit some way, we want him to be on the left-hand side.
And the outfield, fairly shallow. Bonifacio does have some power right-handed, not so much left-handed. But Sierra's playing way off the line into right center. That one fouled straight back. What's the park that you like to hit in the most?
I enjoyed Comiskey. I enjoyed coming to Chicago and hitting there in Minnesota. Yeah, I was always a big I loved the Metrodome. Tiger Stadium was I loved Tiger Stadium. You know, in Jacobs Field, I enjoyed hitting in the Jake. Never really hit well, I think, out in Oakland, Seattle. I just never really did very well there. I mean, I hit some home runs there, but it just, those were parks that I didn't at night. It was cool in Oakland. Same kind of thing in Seattle. You know,
Kingdome's a big ballpark. Tough to get it out.
The Kingdome was Safeco now.
Worse,
yes.
The 1-1 pitch, runners lead away, and it's fouled back. So Wesley probably going to ask to be gone through 5 innings. If he can get out of this is probably going to be it for him.
I'm sure that's one of the things everyone's thinking about with Robinson Cano. You go from a short porch at Yankee Stadium, and then you got to go to Safeco Field, where you've got to hit with the bazooka.
Yeah, and the weather, I think, plays a big part in it too. Those cool nights, getting loose, you know, it takes a little bit of an adjustment once you switch a team and go to a new team. The expectations, the living conditions, you're getting used to all that. I mean, there's so many factors that play into.
See if you remember this one.
I do. There's nobody up there.
Except your baseball.
Yes.
You were pretty trim those days.
Yes. I think I was about 20 years old there.
Well, the first of 612. A 2-2 pitch. Line drive. Beckham off the glove. A run's going to score. They're going to tie it up. Oakland goes to third. And I think Gordon would be the first to tell you he should have had that one.
Well, I tell you what, for all of the spectacular plays he made, this one is very difficult. Running hard, heading into the outfield, but I think you're absolutely right, Steve. I think if you asked him, he's going to say this one should have been me. Bonifacio not getting all of it, but enough of it. The first time he hasn't really popped one up, a little bit more of a soft line drive, and just kind of in between steps for Gordon. I'm sure he probably thought it was hit a little bit harder, and because it wasn't, it was caught in between, so couldn't really jump or lunge, and just off the tip of the glove, and we got a tie ball game.
Goes a base hit, the 6th run batted in for Bonifacio, and brings Valbuena up with runners at the corners. He's 0 for 2 tonight. He looks at a fastball for a strike. And here's a situation where you've got to know if you're behind the plate what you're going to do with the throw, because you have their #1 base stealer at first base. He's stolen 10, been caught 3 times, and he most likely is going to be going here pretty soon. And lifted foul. So 0-2 to Valbuena. Well, Jim, thank you very much for coming up. We really appreciate it. Get a chance to see some of the great moments in your career. And I know your second career as an evaluator and a helper for the Sox organization is going to go very well.
Thank you. It's always good to come on. I did it in spring training, and just being around the game and being around kids and, you know, giving back to the game. I think ultimately that's what we all do. You know, if you play the game long enough and you're rewarded to play a long time, I think it is part of our obligation to come back in some regard and give back. And, you know, Jerry's obviously given me that opportunity to do it, and you know, it's been a blast. It's been a blast to be home with my kids and my wife, but it's also been fun to be here as well.
Well, Jimmy, thank you. The game is tied at 1, and we'll head into the 6th. Live on CSN Chicago.com, brought to you by Comcast Business Class. So we got a brand new game tied at 1. We head into the top of the 6th with the top of the order. It'll be Diaza, Beckham, and Abreu to face Edwin Jackson. That was certainly nice to have Jim Thome around. Going to be an asset to the organization. And what a wonderful guy he is.
Salted. I mean, you can tell he's an Illinoisan. Good Midwest boy from Peoria, but you're absolutely right. Anyone that has 600 home runs but is so humble and so genuine, just a great asset to the organization.
That one misses up high as Jackson kind of stumbles off the mound. Diaz is 0 for 2. Valbuena in close at third. Rizzo is back at first, however.
Well, and Diaz has been known to pull a bunt, too. There's a lot of room over there.
Looks at one down the middle and evens the count at 1-1. Detroit leading Houston that game at the end of 7. And they lead 6-1. The Tigers continuing to roll right along. A 2-1 count. Don Cooper talking with Hector Noesi, who threw the ball very well tonight. Might get a chance to run back out there. At least at this point, nobody is up in the pen.
Typically, for someone coming out of the bullpen going into that starting rotation, how many starts does it take to really be able to throw that 100, 120 pitches?
You don't really know what type of spring training he had because he was with Texas, and it depends on how much they stretched him out in the spring. If they stretched him out to be a starter, which I kind of doubt with the Rangers, even though they had a whole lot of injuries, well, then a couple of starts would be enough. If they used him bullpen only, then it's going to be a little bit difficult. Then I think Robin probably got quite as much as he wanted from him tonight. And he went into the 4th inning his first start. He's given him 5 good ones here tonight. 1 run on 4 hits.
All of them singles, too.
Yep. And not too many hard hits. As he gets Diaza, so Alejandro goes down on strikes for the 2nd time. That'll bring up 2 for 2 Gordon Beckham. Single to lead off the 4th inning and scored the lone run. After the line out by Abreu. Moved Beckham to 3rd. Sierra was hit by a pitch. Alexia Ramirez tapping the ball to the left side. They couldn't turn to it. Went in and run batted in his 20th. Sierra then got a base hit and was promptly picked off by Wellington Castillo to get out of the inning. And that breaking ball is a strike up in the zone.
Well, only 4 hits on both sides. 4 for us, 4 for them. 2 both by Gordon Beckham and Moises Sierra for us.
That one fouled off. That goes to 0-2.
I mentioned earlier about the home runs here. And one of the great home run hitters with Jim Thome here. Who were some of the best players you played with or against?
The best player I played with was the guy whose 83rd birthday is today, and that was Willie Mays. Line drive base hit. Gordon Beckham 3 for 3. And of course, when I played with Willie, I was 6 years old. And so that really made it a little difficult at first. But yeah, they let me pitch from 40 feet. Not so bad. But Willie was an outstanding player. He had great speed. Only stole bases when he could beat you. And one of the original, but not the original 5-tool players, because there wasn't anything he couldn't do. That'll bring up Jose Abreu, who's 0 for 2. Hit the daylights out of 1 in the 4th inning to move Beckham from 2nd to 3rd. Doing the right thing, going to right field. And he helped set up that run. Short lead at first by Gordon. That one misses wide. How about you? Best player you ever played with or against?
I'm going to say Robbie Alomar Jr. Up in Toronto as a glove second baseman, could make every play, could steal a base. Reminded me a little bit of hearing stories about Hank Aaron and Ernie Banks. The only time they ever really stole was when it was like 8th inning, you're down by 1 and everyone knows you're stealing, and they'd still steal it. Robbie was the same way. He could steal when everyone knew he was stealing, could hit for 300 either way, and occasionally some power.
Little chopper, that one goes foul. Well, Willie Mays said that if he knew that 40-40 was a big deal, he would have done that every year.
Yep.
Because he had 40 home runs a lot. And he could steal pretty much any time he wanted to. His instincts on the base paths were exceptional. And so the saying goes, if he was at third base and the ball went out of the dirt part by the catcher, if it got on the grass around home plate, you couldn't get him at the plate. Now even at 1-1. And another throw to first. Ray looking for his first hit of the series.
Well, and Gordon doing a good job knowing that with Abreu, gap power, home run power, been picked off once. He's not going to let that happen again. If you're going to caution, looks like right now he's erring on the side of more caution and staying close to first.
That one gets away, and Gordon will trot into second base. So the go-ahead run in scoring position. And that is another wild pitch charged to Jackson.
Well, and Gordon, just like in the 4th inning when he did move to second, when he led off with that single, ball in the dirt, that time Castillo did a good job of blocking it, although it bounced away. This one, just outside of the comfort zone, he couldn't reach over, too hard to really slide on your knees and get in front of it. Tried to backhand it, got by him, and we got Gordon back at second base.
First 2 wild pitches of the year for Jackson coming tonight.
And now that's surprising because he throws that hard slider that he can bury in the dirt a bunch. Again, going back to just how good Castillo's been doing blocking it.
One out here in the top of the 6th. It's a 1-1 game. And that one fouled straight back.
And a good aggressive swing by Abreu on that one. And actually a very nice swing. That ball low and away, it looked like he had that momentum ready to take that ball into that right center gap. One of the best parts about watching him, I mean, tell me, you've seen him every day now since the season began. I mean, what have you noticed about the approach that this young man takes?
It's tough to get him out in the strike zone. If he doesn't expand his zone, he will make pretty good contact, and Jackson is trying to stay low and away with everything to him. The only trouble spot pitch-wise for Jackson was the 4th inning where he gave up the run. 2-2 pitch, and he got him. So a slider.
Yeah, good hard slider by Edwin there. And you can see on the pitch track, everything has been low and away this last at bat. Nothing like having a line shot when you're up in the zone to kind of say as a pitcher, I better not leave it in the upper half.
That brings up Dan Viciedo. He's 0 for 1, was hit by a pitch in the 4th inning. And the outfield playing him straight away. Big lead at second by Gordon. Viciedo fouls it straight back. Jackson, by and large, has done a pretty good job of keeping that slider down tonight. If he has missed, he's missed down and out of the zone as opposed to up. Edwin has given up just 1 home run this year. That's in 39 innings of work. Fastball on the outside corner, and quickly Viciedo in an 0-2 hole.
Well, and that just as a hitter, again, you hate to do it. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap when a pitcher can dot it on the outside corner or the inside corner. And it just makes you as a hitter almost have to expand that strike zone. Now, with 2 outs, a runner in scoring position, Viciedo just needs to get a base hit. It's not like you need to drive one here, so it's time to battle.
And the 0-2 pitch. Just missing outside.
I guarantee if that was me, I'm gone. Or I'm just trying to slap that into our dugout and hand it to the guys screaming at me as I'm following it. Look out!
And nicely framed by Wellington Castillo, but did not get the benefit of the call. Terrific pitcher's pitch on 0-2.
Now, where do you go? You've had 3 out there, so you're probably thinking that's where the pitching coach wants you to put it there. But when you're ahead like this, do you keep going out there, or do you try to mix things up and change the eyesight line?
I go outside. I go outside with a slider. He did. He got him, and it's out of the inning. So it's a 1-1 tie. We'll take it into the bottom of the 6th inning. He hits the U.S. Cellular Field parking lots. Join Kip Lewis for your chance to win some cold hard cash and be on beer money presented by Coors Light. It's tomorrow at 5 in the U.S. Cellular Field parking lots. And Zach Putnam comes into the game, and he's done just an outstanding job lately. On for the 7th time, his ERA 1.59. He was a member of these Chicago Cubs. Said he had some arm problems this year. No problems whatsoever, as his splitter, which acts as a changeup also, has been pretty close to unhittable. But he's got his work cut out, as he's got the heart of the order due up. Rizzo, Castro, and Castillo to face Putnam. And so Noesi went 5, gave up a run on 4 hits. He walked 1, he fanned 6. And Hector did a terrific job tonight. He threw the ball very well.
Well, and I'm sure for manager Robin Ventura, again, gave him what he was looking for. At least 5 innings. Kept the team in the ball game. The whole time, only 4 singles.
Catches the outside corner. And Anthony Rizzo, who's 1 for 2. For the second time in 2 nights, he beat the shift, taking it through the left side. That coming into 4th. He was stranded, however, as Castro and Castillo both made easy outs. A 1 hopper to Beckham. He retreats. The throw to first, and he's got it.
Sox fans, join us on Saturday, May 24th at 1:10 p.m. as your White Sox take on the Yankees. The first 20,000 fans will receive a Chris Sale bobblehead presented by Pepsi. For tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit whitesox.com.
Darlin Castro's 1 for 2. Base hit in the 2nd, leading it off. And a lazy fly ball to right field in the 4th. Well, you didn't get a chance to see this young man, but we played Colorado earlier this year, and they've got a third baseman by the name of Nolan Arenado. He's got a 25-game hitting streak, and he's one of the best defenders around. Won the Gold Glove last year. Didn't start in the big leagues, and at just 23 years old, he's hitting .316 with 6 home runs and 22 driven in, and maybe a few more Gold Gloves in that young man's future. This is just such a wonderful time in baseball because we're seeing so many great young players come to the big leagues. And I know you've watched a whole lot of games this year, but when you see these guys come up and come up as quickly as they do, it's a pleasure to watch. It's a pleasure to watch them mature before your very eyes.
Well, it's got to be so exciting for you and Hawk, because traveling with the team, you're seeing the maturation not only on the field, but I'm sure as you guys travel with them, how they handle themselves, how they deal with the life off the field, with the media, with the scrutiny. And my guess is if they're surrounded in a positive environment, it's a little bit easier for them to make that transition.
Count goes to 3-1 on Castro. Well, it's a different ball game these days because there is so much media attention on everything. Everything you do is dissected and scrutinized, and you have the print media always, the electronic media, you have the bloggers, you have everybody really taking a look at what you do on a daily basis. If you go into a slump, Derek Jeter said it. He said, early in the season I wasn't old. I went 0 for 14. Now I'm old. Now when I start hitting the ball again, which he fully intends to do, he says, I guess I won't be old again. And that's what happened. He got 2 hits last night, and they said, boy, that looks a little quicker. That one chopped foul.
Well, and you talk about social media, too. You go in that 1 for 14, 0 for 14 slump, and you're in a town that your cousin is living in, and you take them to dinner afterwards, and you're laughing with the cousin because you're talking about the summers that you were together when you were 8 years old. Someone takes a photo of you, and now you're laughing after you're 0 for 14. Everyone's a reporter. It's a much different world these days.
Another chopper foul.
Now, you mentioned earlier how well the bullpen has done recently, and again, watching it on TV, it has been exciting. When did you see the shift starting to happen?
It actually started with Belisario, because he started to get the ball over the plate with good movement, and he's throwing 96, 97. He was the first guy in the pen to consistently get the ball over the plate, and then everybody seems to have followed in line. And Castro goes down on strikes. So quickly, 2 up and 2 down here in the 6th inning.
Well, you talked about the movement that Putnam has, and here is a great example of it. Even falling behind, wasn't afraid to come back with that sinking, running fastball. Only 84 miles an hour. Again, kids, guess what? You don't have to throw 95 to get guys out in the major leagues. But here's a nice forkball, great rotation that just bit it in at the very end. Another strikeout.
If you've got a good splitter or forkball, depending on the terminology and how you're grabbing the baseball, makes that 88, 89 mile an hour fastball look a whole lot faster. Wellington Castillo takes a strike. He's been a strikeout victim twice, and that was with Hector Noese on the mound. Outfield straight away. Infield playing him as a dead pull hitter. Ramirez very close to Simeon. Simeon very close to the line. And Castillo fouls it straight back. With the scarcity of catching, if you get one who can give you a good job behind the plate and occasionally drive in some runs and hit the long ball, you've got a really good one, and the Cubs think they have that in Wellington Castillo.
Well, I think that's been the nice part for Tyler Flowers this year as well. Coming into his own hitting. Guess what? Now you can kind of relax a little bit more behind the plate. You can feel more comfortable knowing that when you're hitting 200, you're putting so much pressure on you because you know the 8 other guys are carrying your load. But when you're hitting over 300 now, you can focus on defense and do those things behind the dish that are critical.
He threw it right by him, and that's it. We head into the top of the 7th. It's all tied at 1. The pitchers duel as John Danks and Travis Wood go head-to-head. So coverage from U.S. Cellular Field begins at 5 with Sports Talk Live. White Sox Cubs tomorrow beginning at 5 on Comcast Sportsnet.
And look at that beautiful skyline. Nothing like it.
It's a gorgeous city. It has been for a long time. In my favorite city. Low these many years, got here in 1973 with that incarnation of the White Sox team. Played with Belton, Bill Melton, Wilbur Wood, Dick Allen. Then came back to the Sox, played for the most exciting team. And somebody brought it up today that this Sox team, with all the offense they have, is very similar to the Southside Hitmen in 1977. They're going to have to hit for quite some time to live up to those type of offensive fireworks. It's going to be Ramirez, Sierra, and Flowers. And Alexi, who's driven in the only run with a ground ball to short. They couldn't turn 2. That's 20 runs batted in. Ramirez off to just a great start. And in this league, not too many better than Alexi as far as the start is concerned. In the other league, Troy Tulowitzki has been all everything. On base percentage, .477. Hitting .364. 24 runs scored. 22 runs driven in. The player of the month for the month of April in the National League. Fouled off to the right.
I remember watching that lineup when a young Matt Halliday and Helton was still at first base. I can only imagine what visiting pitchers felt like when they went into Coors Field.
Well, originally it was Dante Bichette and Larry Walker and Andres Galarraga. They had some huge bashers on that team. 2-1 pitch. Ground ball to short. Castro has it easily. Throws it across and gets it.
An athlete is defined by the desire to be active and continuing doing the things you love. Visit Athletico.com and start defining your pain-free inner athlete today. Athletico, the official physical therapy provider of the Chicago White Sox. Athletico, better for every body.
Moises Sierra, who's 2 for 2. He's hit Jackson very hard one time, a little looper the other time, both equally as effective, as he gets his third hit of the night, and that one's in the gap. Sierra on his way to second base. Lake's going to get it back in, but not in time. And Moises Sierra, who came in 2 for the season, is 3 for 3 tonight.
Well, and I'm not sure what the guys in the dugout are thinking, but I'm going grabbing either Gordon's bat or his bat the next time I'm walking up there, because what these guys are doing is waiting on a pitch they can hit. That ball right down the middle, but Moises, a great swing, great job, gets the barrel out in front of it to drive it into that gap for a stand-up double. And you can see him coming around there, and that ball's in front of you. It's a wonderful feeling.
Represents a go-ahead run and brings up Tyler Flowers, who's 0 for 2, a strikeout and a ground out. A big gap in right center field. And that one well wide of the plate. Elio Bonifacio charged with holding Sierra close.
It'd be a great time for one more of those into the dirt, getting by Wellington Castillo.
34,305 folks in attendance tonight.
Just about all of them in the outfield wearing pink. Recognition of a great cause.
Breast cancer awareness. And that fastball evens a count of 1-1.
You can see as we pan from right center through center to left center. A lot of pink out there. Raising awareness, raising funds. And if not for arriving a little bit late and having to come up into the booth, I'd probably be wearing one of those pink shirts myself, having lost my grandmother to breast cancer.
I don't think there's too many families that have not been touched by breast cancer. And later in the year, we will have a day dedicated for prostate cancer research. Michael Milken doing a great job raising a lot of funds with that. That's a home run challenge. That will come about where over the course of, I believe, about 5 days normally, a great deal of money is raised and has been raised over the years for prostate cancer awareness and research. Same thing with breast cancer, and all teams contributing to that. Tyler in a 1-2 hole. Detroit now leads the bottom of the 8th, 11-1 over Houston. Baltimore, Tampa Bay tied at 3. The game's been delayed, and they're at Tampa Bay. Figure that one out. Cincinnati tied at 3 with Boston at Fenway Park. That game in the bottom of the 9th. Milwaukee leading Arizona 5-4. That game in the bottom of the 6th in Milwaukee. Colorado leading Texas 3-1. That game heading into the bottom of the 5th. Seattle leading Oakland 2-0. That game in the top of the first. Cleveland defeated Minnesota 4-2. Pittsburgh defeated San Francisco 2-1. Miami defeated the Mets 3-0. And the count evens at 2. And Atlanta beat St. Louis 2-1. Kimbrel with his 9th save. James Russell throwing in the pen. As the pitches start to pile up on Edwin Jackson. The very clutch hitting Marcus Semien in the on-deck circle. Got him with a hard slider. So Tyler goes down on strikes.
Well, for Edwin, that's number 8, I believe, on the night. And we've talked about some of the best pitches that he can throw is that hard slider. He's been hitting that outside corner. Tyler knowing it as the catcher, knowing that pitch is being called more often than not. Tough to lay off that one. And now it looks like the Cubs are in a little bit of a stall or delay tactic here to let Mr. Russell have a few more pitches down there.
Well, the reason why Rick Renteria, who you're looking at, has James Russell up is that he knows there's a very good chance if Semien does get on, man in the on-deck circle is going to be called on to pinch hit, and that's Adam Dunn. He was scratched earlier with a calf problem, but said at the time that he would be available to pinch hit. And so he is ready to go if Marcus can keep it alive. Clutch hitting from the 7th inning on to put the Sox ahead has characterized the early portion of Marcus Semien's career. Breaking ball for a strike. And that time Jackson got the breaking ball up. 2 outs and runners in scoring position. You can hardly do much better than 438 with a home run and 11 driven in.
Well, as a pitcher, knowing you have first base open, are you trying to make your pitch throughout this at bat, and if you walk him, it's no big deal?
Good fastball for a strike. I'm trying to get Semien out because if I don't, I know I'm leaving the ball game because they're bringing Adam Dunn up. And that's why Russell is up. So if you're Edwin Jackson with your game on the line at this point, as well as the team's game on the line, you're going right after Semien. The game-winning run batted in last night came in the 12th, and it came in dramatic fashion. Curveball that Grimm got over the plate, taken down the line. That made it a 2-1 game. Sox tacked on one more and won it 3-1. And a very long but very entertaining game. A great pitching matchup of Quintana and Samardzija. 1-2 pitch, and he got it. So Jackson gets out of the jam. We'll move to the bottom of the 7th inning with the score tied at 1. Talks about hit the Cubs 6-4. It's been an errorless game. Well pitched game on both sides. Edwin Jackson, a terrific job. So far 7 innings, a run on the 6 hits. He hasn't walked anybody and fanned 9. And at Sherholtz Lake in Coghlan, faced Zach Putnam, who had a 1-2-3 6th.
Does a good job of getting ahead. Again, one of Cooper's mantras: pitch strikes, hit that glove, get ahead, give yourself a chance to get these guys out more easily.
And Sherholtz behind 0-2.
Now he's thinking that's just not right. First one comes in, got a little bit of sink. Next one starts at the bottom of the zone. Oh wait, it's not going to sink. It's going to hit the bottom of the zone.
That was the voice of Mike Huff, my partner, Ken Harrelson, a little under the weather. Mike was kind enough to sit in on the broadcast tonight. He's seen a whale of a ball game so far. As that one shot to the right side, backhanded by Abreu, the quick flip to Putnam, and a 3-1 put out. And here's our Xfinity high-speed action replay. And it was a terrific play by Abreu. Simeon throws it in the dirt. Jose scoops it nicely out of the inning. And a terrific play. And a play that was giving Abreu some problems early. He was setting up too early, locking himself in, then couldn't adjust with the throw. But those days have gone by, as he's adjusting very well these days. And Junior Lake, who scored the only Cub run, he singled, stole a base, and scored ahead of the Bonifacio single in the 5th inning. Well out ahead of that split finger. And the bullpen up and going. Russell, the left-hander on the right. Ramirez, the right-hander on the left.
Say that 3 times fast.
One of the few places in all of baseball where the mounds are in play. And it makes it pretty difficult for corner outfielders here, especially when you have a long run for one, and next thing you know, you're going straight uphill and then straight downhill.
The infamous face plant. You always hear about those football drills picking your knees up, but when you're running that far in the corner outfield, you're not really lifting your legs that high.
Mike does a nice job of checking it up on that one as that splitter dropped out of the zone. Those of you just joining us, Hector Nuesi went 5 innings. He had a run on 4 hits. Walked 1, fanned 6. He'll get a no decision. But he'll also have a job well done. Much appreciated by his manager and pitching coach. And it's 3-1.
Well, and if any player that gets traded to a new team, all you want to do is contribute. And that's exactly what Hector's been able to do since coming over. Even though he didn't get out of the 4th inning in Detroit, 3 good innings, maybe hit a wall in that 4th inning. And again, as you mentioned earlier, Detroit, pretty good hitting ball club.
Indeed they are. The Lake had everything going his way except the split finger. Because you're thinking fastball, you're airing it out, you have home run power. And that ball just dove under the bat.
Well, and how does that feel as a pitcher, knowing you have enough confidence with the ball that has movement that you can throw it even when you're behind in the count?
Well, I hope to tell you one day, but I can't tell you yet. Ground ball deep short. Tough play over to first, and they got him. Terrific play by Alexi Ramirez. The off-balance throw. And good play on the other end with Abreu.
Well, and give your advanced scouts a little bit of an assist on this, too, because, as you mentioned, Alexei was way in the hole. Does a great job of not only getting in front of it, but putting enough on, falling away from the infield. An easy short hop for Jose, and led Lake by a full step.
And Lake can run. Chris Coughlin, 0 for 1 with a walk. And he looks at a fastball down.
Well, and his at-bat in the 5th inning was instrumental because working the walk allowed that inning to continue. With 1 out, he would have been the second. Edwin Jackson's strikeout would have been the 3rd. But just being able to get on base allowed the Cubs to roll that lineup over in the 5th and gave Bonifacio that chance to come up with the RBI single. And
unfortunately, that was the lone Noesi walk. And as walks are prone to do, came back to hurt. Two and 1 count. Adam Dunn, Paul Konerko with helmets and bats. One chop foul, so pitcher's spot, 2 up first in the 8th. Kalish is in the on-deck circle. Assuming this one is kept alive, he'll come on to pinch hit in the spot that was occupied by Edwin Jackson. 2-2 pitch. And that one gets away. So the count goes full. Edwin threw the ball very well tonight. This is one of his better efforts.
Well, you think about the fact that he gave up no walks, 6 hits, but no walks means only 6 guys got on base.
And 9 strikeouts to go with it. That one chopped right at Abreu. He smothers it, takes it himself. And another 1-2-3 inning. So we head to the top of the 8th inning. This game knotted at 1 apiece. And here's our Miller moment, and it was a nice ceremony before the game saluting Paul Konerko in what will be his final game in this ballpark. Jeff Samardzija comes out. They give him the number 14 off the scoreboard. Paul had some great moments here. He was talking about it. And his career versus the Cubs, pretty good. Career at Wrigley Field, even better. And for Paul, probably taking the same philosophy that Derek Jeter is taking. Not a farewell tour, just a final season. And so as soon as Adam Dunn was announced as a pinch hitter, Renteria goes to the mound, takes out Edwin Jackson, and James Russell will come into the game. So we'll step out and be back after these messages.
to unique social media contests and special giveaways by purchasing Sox Social tickets. Visit whitesox.com/Sox Social today. And don't ask me to read that 3 times fast.
And James Russell comes into this at 0-1, on for the 12th time. But 6 walks in 6 innings is problematic. First man he's going to look at is Adam Dunn, who's going to lead it off, and it's back to the top with Diaza. And the 3-for-3 Gordon Beckham due up third. And misses high and away. Russell played at the University of Texas with Jordan Danks back in 2007. And that fastball for a strike.
Not necessarily overpowering, but lefty on lefty. That first one, big sweeper. Adams really got to bury his nose on this one. A lot of room in right center down the right field line, but that infield pulled way over.
We've seen him twice hit a home run. Wouldn't be a bad idea with a cap that's not going to allow him too many extra base hits. And the count goes to 3-1. So Russell, who's been fighting his control all year, on the verge of putting the go-ahead run on. Alejandro Diaza, who's 0 for 3 in the on-deck circle. He, for one, is very happy to see Edwin Jackson gone. And the count goes full. So good pitch down in the zone. At a 3-1 count.
Well, and Adam Dunn, 21 walks, almost doubling the second most on the White Sox club, Adam Eaton. So the guy is willing to take a walk.
Ground ball. There's only one guy on the left side of the infield. Adam hits it right at Starlin Castro. That'll bring up Alejandro, whose flyout was sandwiched in between the 2 strikeouts. Outfield playing him as an opposite field hitter. And the bullpen still up and going. And you would think for Russell this would be the last man he's going to face. With the 3-4 right-handers in a row. And Ramirez most likely will come into this after the Diaz at bat. Right back up the middle. Good play by Bonifacio. And he gets it there in time. What an effort by Emilio Bonifacio.
Well, we talked about Ramirez last half inning, getting rid of the ball quickly. Bonifacio doing the exact same thing, knowing that Diaz can run this ball, not hit too well, getting rid of it quickly to give Rizzo a chance to come and get it. Make a stretch whichever direction that ball might be not quite on line. And Anthony doing a very good job of keeping that toe, looks like, on the base as he made that stretch.
Well, Robin's out there to talk about it, and he wants to see, and he's going to let Mark Parent determine it. And Robin just waits to see, and Mark Parent gave him a thumbs down, meaning don't challenge this one because he was out at first base.
Tip your cap on that play. Diaz hustling down the line. And a great play by Bonifacio and Rizzo. And just like you said, looks like Mr. Renteria.
He's out to make a double switch. That's the motion that he made to Paul Emmel. So Russell does his job. He gets out the 2 left-handers. And with Beckham, Abreu, and Viciedo, along with Ramirez and Sierra and Flowers, all right-handers coming up. Russell departs. Ramirez comes in. We'll step out and be back after these messages.
the bullpens, visit the dugouts, and much more. Join us for our family field day on June 21st and support Chicago White Sox charities. To purchase tickets, visit whitesoxcharities.org.
Ryan Kalish checked in the game in left field. He's also going to be inserted into the 9th spot in the batting order. And Neil Ramirez comes in out of the bullpen. We had a look at him last night. He pitched the perfect 10th inning. Struck out Marcus Semien. Ramirez, out of the Texas organization, came over in the Matt Garza deal. Says his slider is his best pitch, along with a pretty good fastball. But last night, he was throwing some unhittable curveball. And Gordon Beckham is 3 for 3, scored the lone run after his single leading off the 4th inning. There's a good curveball in first pitch.
Right on cue. Nice talent, nice major league debut. Already 2 holds, no earned runs in his young career.
Good fastball for a strike, some good late movement on it, and Gordon's in an 0-2 hole.
Great location, and just like you said, Gordon 3 for 3 is saying, you know, bring Edwin back just for one more batter.
Just missing low and away. Scott Downs, the left-hander. And Webb, the right-hander. So Daniel should be about loose by now. They've been throwing for a bit. Long drive, well hit left field. Kalish going back. It's gone! Home run, Gordon Beckham. Sox on top 2-1, and Gordon Beckham is 4 for 4.
Coming into the game, only hitting a .67, but clearly a breakout night for Gordon Beckham. Not sure who picked him as their pick to click, Mr. Stone, but 3 singles, run scored prior to this at bat. Even with 2 strikes, doesn't miss this one. Great swing. We talked about the short gaps. Even with that wind blowing in, was able to get into the basket, into that first or second row. Sox are on top.
A Ford home run replay is the first home run of the year for Gordon Beckham. And it puts the Sox on top. And that one just kept on carrying with the wind shifting and now blowing out toward left center. Line drive down the line, fair ball. Abreu on his way to second base as this one rattles around in the corner, and Jose has his first hit of the night. Ninth double of the year.
And the bats are coming alive in this inning for sure. Same curveball. Abreu doing a nice job on deck, watching that rotation, seeing how much it breaks, stays on it nicely, brings those hands inside, keeps it fair, and we talked about the strange angles here. That one hitting that padding and staying right there. Ryan Kalish doing a good job of getting over, but Abreu not necessarily one that's going to be stretching anything, especially with 2 outs.
That brings up Dan Viciedo, 0 for 2, hit by a pitch. Pop foul and into the seat. Oh, a couple of rockets, and Gordon Beckham having just an outstanding night. He scored both runs, driven in by Ramirez the first time, driving himself in that time. And maybe this will be the defining night in the year of Gordon Beckham. With that home run by Gordon Beckham, there'll be another generous donation from the Alex Snellius family in loving memory of Ursula. Huge night for Gordon Beckham. He's always handled Jackson well. But facing Ramirez on an 0-2 count, he hit it out of the park. And falls straight back.
Good swing by Diane right there.
34,000 plus tonight. A lot of them right now yelling, "Let's go Sox," being drowned out by boos by the Wrigley Field faithful.
Well, during that 7th inning stretch, we had a couple ladies singing from the Breast Cancer Foundation there, and a lot of Go White Sox as well as the Go Cubs.
That one misses away. 1-2 count, 2 outs here in the 8th inning. And the Sox on top 2-1. Rayo leads away, nobody paying much attention to him out at second base. The outfield straight away, as is the infield, and that one fouled off to the right.
Well, getting that big lead is going to be important, because with 2 outs and 2 strikes, the minute Diane starts to swing, Abreu can get even a bigger jump, get that momentum going toward third. Because if he swings and misses, who cares? It's strike 3. But if he can put that ball in play, get a base hit, hopefully he'll bring him home.
Checks his swing, the appeal to first base, and Tom Woodring says nope, he did not swing.
The right call.
It was indeed.
Not that we're biased, but it was the right call. And now the perfect time to come back and make it hurt.
2-2 pitch. And he got him looking at strike 3, but not before the Sox get a run on 2 hits. They lead 1. We head to the bottom of the 8th. 2-1 Sox. Got Downs, who pitched 2/3 of an inning in last night's game, gave up a hit and a walk. Webb came on, got the 3rd out of the inning. On for the 16th time, the ERA about 6.5, an 0-2 record, and the first man he's going to look at is Ryan Kalish, inserted in the 9th spot in the flip-flop batting order by Rick Renteria, and he looks at a breaking ball low and away. Jordan Danks takes over in center field, shifting Alejandro Diaz to left. And exactly where he started, Moises Sierra playing right field. Moises is 3 for 3 tonight. Threw that fastball by him. Count evens at 1-1. 2:59. 3 runs driven in for Ryan Kalish, who's had all kinds of physical problems. We saw him with the Red Sox when he came to the big leagues. And he chops that ball foul. So there's a very good chance that Scott Downs is in for one hitter. Because Bonifacio, if you have a choice, you want to face him as a left hand, not a right hand hitter, where he's a better hitter and has more power. Pedro Strop listening up in the bullpen. They got him from Baltimore. He's got a big arm. The control has been a factor. So the count evens at 2-2. Outfield shading toward left center. And line drive foul. That one over the bullpen, so it scatters the boys down there. And the Cub fan very happy. Usually you say he brought his gloves. He brought gloves, and wisely so.
My guess is if he didn't have them last night, he knew he was bringing them tonight, knowing how cold it was last night. Not nearly as cold, and the wind blowing not nearly as hard, but yeah, it is definitely foul weather gear.
And the wind has shifted a bit toward the left field corner. Just missing down, and the count goes full.
Well, your all-important leadoff hitter here for the White Sox. You've got the lefty-lefty matchup you want. Scott Downs, seasoned veteran, hasn't quite had the start I'm sure he wants or the coaches, but this is pretty critical right here to get this guy out.
Just able to stay alive.
Well, and Ryan doing a good job of battling both the line drive foul and that one. Looked like the ball was almost in the catcher's glove. He was just able to nick it out.
Webb came on after Downs last night, and looks like he's about ready to go down the right field line. He threw it by him, strike three, big first out.
Big first out, and a ball that might have been off the plate, but again, close enough. Scott Downs doing a great job of bringing that one right under the hands of Ryan Kalish. And as a man who is a little under the weather tonight would say, he gone.
He was. Emilio Bonifacio drove in the only Cub run with his single in the fifth inning. Turns around a hit from the right side for the first time tonight, and he looks at a fastball for a strike. Bonifacio hitting .400 as a right-hand hitter. Last night, in the 11th inning, he hit the daylights out of one that would have been out on any other night. Would have ended the game. The wind just swatted it straight down, and the boys played on. Luis Valbuena in the on-deck circle. So it's two left-handers to follow Bonifacio. And a good backdoor breaking ball. Count goes to 1-2.
Well, now as a pitcher, when you are starting to feel confident, get in a little bit wider zone. Do you try to stretch it a little bit farther, or do you come back on the other side of the plate with the next pitch?
I'd like to keep the ball away from Bonifacio in this situation. If you decide to go way in off the plate. But he's got some pop from the right side. And now that the wind has shifted, blowing out to the left field corner, you just assume him try to hit the ball to right or right center. The wind has been blowing in three different directions since the start of the game. And that wind is what aided Gordon Beckham's fly ball and took it in the second row of the bleachers. That is the difference in this game. He's got him on a backdoor breaking ball. He kept it away, and quickly 2 up, 2 down.
Well, and that was beautiful. Not only was it the backdoor curveball, but it was about 5 miles an hour slower. You can see on the pitch track 72, maybe more than 5 slower. As a hitter, you pick up that rotation, and all of a sudden you're realizing, oh, no, that's going to be a strike, and you try to foul it into the other dugout, but not this time.
It's Mike Olt coming on the pinch hit. We got Anthony Rizzo in the on-deck circle. So Valbuena taken down. Olt with big power, hitting just 162, but he's hit 4 home runs this year. He started the game last night. He was 1 for 4 with a walk. And he looks at a fastball down.
Well, you mentioned it correctly. Kind of strange. 1 for 6 pinch hitting this year, but a .162 batting average, but 4 home runs, 11 RBI. So when he does make contact, that ball is leaving this ballpark.
At one point, he was one of the highest rated prospects in the Texas Ranger organization, an organization loaded with terrific hitters. Then he had concussion syndrome, then had some vision problems. Spring training this year, the only question was, would his shoulder allow him to play third base? He answered that. The answer was yes, he made the ball club. And he's still trying to find his way back. It's a 3-0 count. With their offensive leader and home run leader, Anthony Rizzo, in the on-deck circle. Fastball for a strike. You'd just as soon see Rizzo leading off a 9.
Well, in that pitch, in that location, take 2 more, like you said. Put it on that outer half, outer third, outer corner. If he's going to make contact and drive it to right the way the wind's blowing, it's not going to leave the ballpark over there.
He walked him, but the tying run's aboard, and it brings Anthony Rizzo to bat. Rizzo's 1 for 3. Grounded out a couple of times with a base hit sandwiched in between. That base hit through the left side of the infield. And last year he had all kinds of problems hitting left-handers. This year he's done a much better job of it.
Infield still has that big shift for Rizzo. Simeon playing pretty much right between second and third.
That fastball misses away. Marlon Castro in the on-deck circle. Rizzo last year led the Cubs in home runs and runs batted in, 23 and 80 respectively. Short lead by Oak. And it's a 2-0 count.
I'm sure Scott is out there saying this is not where I want to be right now. Even lefty now, you're kind of taking that advantage out of the pitcher and putting it back into the hitter, allowing the hitter to start looking, as we talked about earlier, one type of pitch and one type of location, something that you know is your best spot, the best place that you can put a good swing and pass on it. So lefty or righty pitcher, who cares?
Swing and a miss on a good breaking ball. Rizzo looking fast. There's an example, looking fastball all the way, but swinging at the breaking ball.
Yeah, probably looking fastball in, a down in fastball, something you can really drive. And guess what? That starts down and in. But if you don't pick up that rotation early enough, and now that it's curving and sliding, you started your swing, can't stop it.
Short lead at first. Abreu off the bag by a step or 2. And he gets the benefit of the call. I don't think Rizzo can believe it. But Paul Emmel, by and large, has done a nice job behind the plate. This is borderline.
He's been very consistent. And again, both pitching staffs have been really peppering that outside corner. That one might have been just off the plate, but we'll take it.
2-2 count, 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Sox lead 2-1. And a full count.
Well, and I'm sure Scott wants that one back. He could see that body language after that came out of his hand a little bit low. Nodding right there to Jose Abreu, saying, hey, I'm behind the guy. 3-2 is going to be running. So
well, Scott knows that this is the last man he's going to face regardless of the outcome of this at bat. He might as well throw him a breaking ball, keep it blowing away, and see what he can do with it. Let's see what Tyler Flowers has in mind. 3-2 pitch. Ground ball right at Gordon Beckham. He's got it. And out of the inning with the lead. We head to the top of the 9th. It's 2-1 Sox. Southside fan photo for a chance to be shown on our broadcast, brought to you by AT&T. There's a very happy couple. And we've got a new third baseman and a new pitcher. Mike Olt stays in the game and plays third, and Pedro Strop comes into the game. He's going to face Ramirez, Sierra, and Flowers. Strop, out of the Baltimore organization, has always thrown hard, but has always had some problems getting the ball over the plate. Good soft breaking ball, and that evens the count of 1-1.
Absolutely right. 7 walks in 12 innings. Not really what you want out of a reliever. 14 strikeouts in 12 innings is. So he definitely has some electric stuff, just not very consistent with it yet.
Had no luck last year with Baltimore. 0-3, 7.25 ERA, but 2-2 for the Cubs with an ERA in the high 2s.
And a nice job by Ramirez laying off that.
Matt Lindstrom loosening in the pen. Matt came on last night. Gave up a walk, a base hit, but got out of the 12th inning and held the lead. Count goes to 2-1. They talk about Strop as a potential closer. He's 6'1", 220 pounds, out of San Cristobal, Dominican Republic. But the only problem with a closer is when you don't get the ball over the plate, and set up base running situations, you've got a big problem.
Well, Alexi, one of those guys, very happy to see Edwin leave. He did get the RBI, albeit on a weak ground ball to short. But leading off, Alexi has been a very solid base runner over his career, 5 for 6. Not that this is necessarily a base stealing opportunity, but with Moises and on the bottom part of the order where we've got some good line drive hitters, Robin's going to have a nice opportunity to do a lot of different things here if he wants.
And Sierra, 3 for 3. 2 singles and a double as Ramirez leads away. Rizzo off the bag, went toward first, and Strop almost threw that one away.
What you want to see is a good step in the dive. Rizzo in front of the base. Strop almost hitting Darryl Boston. Rizzo doing a good job of gloving that one before it goes hitting the target, hopefully down that right field line.
Throw to first, nothing doing. This would be a huge insurance run. It would give Lindstrom the same kind of lead that he had coming into the ball game last night. There would be a margin for error. Slider misses up high.
Well, as a young hitter, here's where it's incredibly difficult, but you've got to try to be patient. He's done a great job, Moises is, of looking for a ball in the middle of the zone. He's gotten a couple of them, put really nice swings on. He's got to try to do that again with this at bat.
That one misses low and in. So a 2-0 count.
Moises looking down. The base coach, Joe McEwing, might actually be giving him the take sign here.
Well, everybody meeting out at the mound to try to settle down Strop. Rick Renteria said he will not name a closer at this point. He says he's got some great arms in the pen. Rondon has been the guy that he's gone to lately. But he was given the night off last night, probably available tonight. He's got a 1.69 ERA in 15 games. But without naming a closer, everybody has to be ready every night late in the ball game, and that's how he wants it at this point. Taking all the way, took a fastball right down the middle at 94.
Well, you would think every reliever should understand their job is to throw strikes and get outs, but do you like having an open bullpen like that, or do you like people having a role and knowing what they're expected to when they come to the ballpark each day?
I would like Mariano Rivera as my closer. Little chopper. No chance for Ramirez. Olt bobbles the ball, and Ramirez with a wide turn gets back to the bag. That probably will go as a base hit. Even if Olt does catch it cleanly, it's doubtful he makes the play at first.
Moises with a little smile there. You just can't teach this kind of hitting. Hit it, swing really hard, hit it right off the plate, and have it bounce about 20 feet in the air. Like you said, Mike doing a good job of coming in. Ramirez making a big turn, almost expecting Olt to somehow make an off-balance throw to first and contemplating going to third, knowing that third base might have been open if Castro wasn't on his toes backing up and being over there. But as he ate it, Ramirez hit the brakes and came back to second. We got first and third, nobody out, and here comes Mr. Renteria to the mound.
Well, he's coming out not so much to talk about pitching, but how to talk about how to defense this bunt situation. Now, it's an interesting situation for Robin because he's got Tyler Flowers, who has yet to have a sacrifice this year. So he's not used to bunting. And maybe Robin is up there after Joe McEwing talked to him and said, "Can you bunt?" Well, I guess so, Skip. Haven't been asked too often that question.
Now, another question he might be asking him is, do you feel more comfortable getting a pitch that you can drive to the right side, or do you feel more comfortable laying the bunt down? Again, lots of opportunities here. You've always got Leary Garcia if you really want to put a bunt down and try to extend this lead.
One career sacrifice for Tyler Flowers. And so Rizzo is in very close at first. Olt at the cut of the grass at third. Tyler Flowers 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Short lead at second by Ramirez. No sign of bunt there.
That's not a comfortable feeling when you're a third baseman or first baseman, kind of creeping in when you see a big, strong catcher like that take a full swing.
Well, a lot of times what a manager will say is, take one for you, then you have to take one for me. So let's see if that was a conversation that both Joe McEwing and Robin Ventura had with Tyler Flowers. Fastball off the corner. If you're not used to bunting, 94 with a herky-jerky motion, which is what Strop has, is really difficult.
Well, I've always thought one of the keys to bunting is making sure that your shoulders are relaxed. Take a deep breath, drop your shoulders, because if you can relax your shoulders, your arms are going to be relaxed, your hands are going to be relaxed, and you're going to be able to catch that ball on the end of the bat, hopefully staying on top of it all the way through and getting it on the ground.
Well, that one straight back. So you would think now they would move back at the corners. But Rizzo is still staying in very close at first base.
Well, and that was a type of pitch, too, that a little bit up, a little bit out. That's one you were hoping that he was thinking about, let me drive this one to that right center gap.
Now Rizzo's been motioned by the dugout to move back, which he has done. 1-2 pitch. Little looper to right field, but foul. But the count holds.
And there's a great example of a two-strike swing, keeping that hands inside and really trying to go the other way.
Marcus Semien in the on-deck circle. He's 0 for 3, but he has been known to come through late.
And chant for coming through in the last 3 innings. Big one last night. It'd be fun to see him do it again tonight, but let's see if Tyler can dial up some magic here.
Line drive off the glove into left field. Here comes Ramirez, his score. Before the third, Sierra safe at third. Flowers moves into second base, and it's a 3-1 game. So Tyler Flowers, with no bunt in sight, drives home his 10th run of the year, and it's a 2-run lead.
Well, I love seeing the White Sox put a little pressure on these Cubs outfielders. Good pitch off the plate inside, and Tyler does a great job of bringing his hands in. Line drive right over Mike Olt's head. Almost puts a glove on it, a la Gordon Beckham. And Ramirez scoring easily, but with Kalish left-handed throwing going over the line, actually makes a great throw across his body to third, but Moises a good hard slide to jar it out of there, and guess what? We got second and third, nobody out.
And the infield in at all 4 positions. Marcus Semien looks at a fastball for a strike, so the leadoff walk comes back to bite Strop. Long look down at Joe McEwing, who's having a conversation with Moises Sierra. And it's 0-2 on Semien.
And that was surprising. He just threw that one right by him. Granted, 95 miles an hour.
Jordan Danks in the on-deck circle. These are huge runs to pick up. Foul that ball off.
And that was a good job of two-strike swinging. Ball running in under his hands. Just, knock it off, foul it off, see if he can make a mistake, and just like Tyler, see if he gets one up in the zone that we can drive into that outfield, get another run or 2.
And that fastball up under his chin. The count goes to 1-2.
Well, Joe McEwing, I'm sure, is talking to Moises also, saying, look, if he throws one, it's really wild. It's brick back there, and it's real close to home plate. It may bounce back. You've got to make sure that you can score with no outs.
And the bullpen starts for the Cubs as Strop battling his control. He got him. Sweeping breaking ball away.
Off the bat from MLB Fan Cave takes the love of the game to the next level. Go behind the scenes with the biggest stars in baseball and pop culture. Tune in Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern on MTV2.
Infield has to stay in at all four positions as Jordan Danks gets his first at bat. He has a home run, 3 driven in, and looking at the very least for a fly ball. Swings right through a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, like the aggressiveness up in the zone, let's get that barrel out there. As a part-time player, it's always nice being able to start playing a half an inning in the outfield, getting your legs underneath you.
Carlos Villanueva throwing in the pen. He was count at 1-1. Alejandro Diaz in the on-deck circle. With good speed at third. Both infielders on the left side are on the grass in that flux. Long drive center field, well hit. This one is not going to be caught. It's high off the wall. It's going to score 2. Jordan Danks with his 4th hit of the year makes it a 5-1 game. And that came an eyelash from leaving the ballpark. And the wind, which now is blowing to left center field, almost took it out.
Here's what we're talking about. You want something up in the zone. You want something you can drive. Jordan swung through the first one. I'm sure Strop thought he could get another one by him. This time, stays on top of it. Good backspin as this ball is crushed into deep center, left center. Very nice swing. Love seeing that head down, shoulder to shoulder. Great effort by Lake, but almost too close to the wall because he did not have a chance to play that. Got by him and 2 runs easily scored.
And Alejandro Diaz, who's 0 for 4, steps in with a chance to drive home another. Fouled that one straight back. And a big 3-run ninth. Those add-on runs late are something that, number one, obviously gives you a much better attitude heading out for the bottom of the ninth, but kind of takes a little heart away from most teams, especially those teams that are not in the race.
Oh my gosh, you said it perfectly.
And Strop really fighting his control.
Well, I mean, this reminds me so much of our 93 team, 92, 91, 93, where it seemed like if we were close in the 7th inning, we knew we had a chance to win the game. And I know this year for the White Sox.
And the trainer coming out, Wellington Castillo walked out there. And there might be some cause for concern with Strop. As when he let go of that last pitch, Castillo just called timeout, went right to the mound, looked over in the dugout, and that's when Renteria and the trainer came out. And that's going to be the last pitch that he throws, and Castillo saw something. And went right to the mound. That's going to give Villanueva a chance to throw as many pitches as he wants, leaving due to injury. And we'll step out in a 5-1 game and be back after these messages. game. Tune in to Comcast Sportsnet for Blackhawks postgame live. Go inside the locker room, hear from Coach Q, and get the breakdown on Game 3. Blackhawks postgame live tonight after the Blackhawks game. Emilio Bonifacio will slide over to play third base. Darwin Barney comes in the game at second base. And Carlos Villanueva on the mound. Villanueva in 7 games, 1-5 ERA, almost 9.5. He started 4 of those games. So this is his 8th appearance.
Well, to complete my thought as we went to break, in the 9th inning, the White Sox prior to tonight had scored 30 runs, leading all of the major leagues. Opponents had only scored 18. And from the 6th inning on, we have outscored our opponents literally by 10 runs. So this team is not afraid to score late. This team clearly has some fight in them, and it's so exciting to see people, not necessarily with the long ball, but base hits, stolen bases, extra bases. It's so exciting to watch.
It's also been exciting to watch Gordon Beckham with his 4-for-4, including the go-ahead home run. Moises Sierra, a late insertion in the lineup. If you haven't been with us, Adam Dunn was supposed to start, had a calf problem. Sierra was inserted in the lineup. All he's done is go 4-for-4 with 3 singles, a double, a run scored. So big night by a couple of guys that needed big nights. So this now out of a save situation, but nobody is too unhappy about that.
Well, as a manager, Robin Ventura, knowing this, you've gotten your closer up, Matt Lindstrom. Although he pitched yesterday, do you still put him out there, or do you go ahead and throw Daniel Webb out there knowing you have a series of righties coming up?
2 schools of thought, and we'll see what Robin decides. Once you get your closer up, some guys will put him in the game. That being said, with no off days and this series continuing with 2 games at U.S. Cellular Field, you might not want to go to him because you might need him tomorrow night. That ball fouled off to the left. Daniel Webb had been up earlier, sat down as it looked like a save situation. Looked like this game was going to be taken into the bottom of the 9th in a 2-1 game. Matt Lindstrom would have come in. But Webb, who's probably as loose as he needs to be, is going to at least give him the opportunity to close the ball game. And the count evens at 2-2. So only 1 out here in the 9th inning. A walk to Ramirez, a single by Sierra, a double by Flowers. Then after the Semien strikeout, a ringing double off the wall by Jordan Danks, who came in as a defensive replacement, got his opportunity, just his 4th hit of the year. And oh, what a big one that was, driving home 2. And the chopper, Barney's got it and makes a play at first base. He rifled that one to Rizzo, and he was no more than 20 feet from him.
Now Barney came over there, got in front of it nicely, and took his time until, as he glanced up, Piazza was about 3 steps away from first and threw a bullet 20 feet away. Luckily, it was toward Rizzo's chest and easy for him to make the catch in the second out. Although it did get Jordan Danks over to third. Now Gordon Beckham, how about let's keep this thing going with another base hit.
Batting average from 167 to 239. And in the 8th inning, with 2 out, Gordon Beckham an 0-2 count. Kalish goes back, looks up. It was the best catch I've seen by anyone wearing a Cubs uniform. But it was 2 rows deep. And that, a terrific stop by Castillo. A ball was well out in front of the plate. Would have cost another run. He saves a wild pitch and a run is Joe McEwing. Telling Jordan to be heads up for anything down. Bleachers have thinned out a bit, as you would expect. Pop that ball straight up. Rizzo calling for it, drifting with the wind, and he makes the catch. But not before the Sox score a big 3-spot here in the ninth. We head to the bottom of the ninth. It's 5-1 Sox. .265. On for the 13th time, 17 innings. The walk's a little higher than he would like. Meanwhile, nobody's hitting him too well. And it's going to be Starlin Castro to lead it off. Castro, Castillo, and Sherholtz. Castro 1 for 3 tonight. The Wesley did a terrific job on 5 innings, gave up a run on 4 hits with a walk and 6 strikeouts. Zach Putnam came in and continued to do what he's been doing since he's put on a Sox uniform. He threw 2 perfect innings with a couple of strikeouts. Scott Downs threw an inning, walked 1 but fanned 2, and got Rizzo on a ground ball to end the 8th with the game on the line. Big out, and gives way to Daniel Webb, who throws one out of the zone. To one of the 2 building blocks that's in the major leagues now, Starlin Castro. They signed both Anthony Rizzo and Starlin Castro to long-term deals, estimated at around 7 years for both. And the count goes to 2-0.
Well, both of those 2, Cubs only have 4 hits on the night. Both of those 2 have 1 apiece.
4 singles tonight by the Cub offense. And it's 3-0. This has been the only problem I can see with Webb and his eventual rise as a guy that you would consider as a closer, and that is not getting the ball over the plate consistently. Do that one in the zone. And his fastball has late movement. It's tough to square up. But if you're entertaining the idea of closing, you have got to throw strikes. That is not a debatable issue. And he throws that fastball right by Castro. So the count goes full. Wellington Castillo in the on-deck circle. He's been up 3 times. He has fanned 3 times. That one foul. So the count stays full.
Knowing this is Daniel's first year, what do you attribute the high total of walks?
Just the fact that it is his first year. And he's in the feeling out process also. Threw him a slider on 3-2. And got it over the plate. Castro fouled it straight back.
I know as a hitter in that situation, now I've got something more to think about. As a pitcher, is that, I mean, obviously you've got to be confident potentially walking a guy to throw a slider there.
Right at Marcus Semien, who throws it across in a big first out. Now, what you have to tell yourself in that situation is you got a 4-run lead. You got 7 guys behind you, 1 in front of you. Let him hit the ball and see if one of the guys on the field. You don't want to get too fancy because you don't want to put him on via the walk. And he threw him a fastball. He hit it right at Semien and turned into out number 1. We talked about Castillo and his 3 strikeouts. Outfield playing him to pull, and that ball hit into right field. Sierra motioning up, got it. And have it he does. So 2 outs. Last year, the Sox went 0-4 against the Cubs. Next year, they're going to play one another 3 times at each place, as the American League Central in interleague play will play the National League Central. But if the Sox hold on, and you would expect that they would, it's going to be 2-0 this year, heading to U.S. Cellular Field for the next couple of games before the Arizona Diamondbacks come to town for a weekend series and the end of a homestand. There's a fastball right by him. Holtz is 0 for 3. Single by Castro, 1 by Rizzo, 1 by Bonifacio, and 1 by Lake. And that has been the sum total of the offense for the Cubs. Good off-speed pitch. And the Cubs are down to their last strike. That one down and out of the zone.
Those Sox fans that are still around on their feet. As Steve said, most of the crowd has left. There's a good couple. Hawk sweater, Sox jacket.
That one just misses off the corner.
Call by home plate umpire Paul Emmel. That was just off the dish.
And with 1 more out, Zach Putnam will get his first win of the year as he continued his wonderful pensmanship. The count goes full. Junior Lake in the on-deck circle if Sherholtz can keep it alive. Walked him.
Well, one of the more frustrating things I know as a coach, seeing your pitcher get ahead 0-2 and then walking somebody, especially in this situation.
Well, Junior Lake steps up. His single and stolen base in the 5th inning led to the lone Cub run. The fastball misses up and in. The one thing you have to be careful of here is just rushing to get it over with. You've got the 4-run lead. Abreu not holding Sherholtz close at first. And he throws a fastball for a strike. The count evens at 1. And just in case, Matt Lindstrom, who is loose by this point, throwing in the pen. That one fouled off, and Tyler wanted to kick it into fair territory, but it just kind of sat there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that would actually work.
It had some good spin on it.
If he got down, and it hit in front of the plate. Yes, you can see it's still. Gotta get down your knees and just blow that and see if it goes back into fair territory. I think it's just too chewed up around home plate there, the other batter's box.
He got it. Game over. Sox win 5-1. And so with some late heroics and a big bat of Gordon Beckham tonight, the Sox take Game 2 and will leave Wrigley Field, head to U.S. Cellular Field 2-0 against the Cubs this year. So a very happy team. Some great work out of the bullpen. Noesi, Putnam, who will get the win in this one. Scott Downs with a huge 8th inning. And Daniel Webb coming on to nail it down. And Mike, thank you once again. Ken Harrelson, a little under the weather. On short notice, you came in. You saw a whale of a ball game.
Well, I got to see one last night. A little Cinco de Mayo party with a handful of friends. And tonight, even better. Didn't take 12 innings to get the win, thank goodness.
Our GMC player of the